Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox Podcast episode 392.
After show. Is that?
It's not the right time, Tyler. No.
I'm so sorry.
I know.
I'm just getting used to this.
It's these cameras. They're new for you. You don't understand how they work. You don't understand how the internet works yet.
Yeah, the lights. I kind of got freaked. You know me. I get freaked out with the lights and the cameras and everything.
We have to be very careful with the after show branding because some people, they're just going to turn it off when they hear that. It's like, oh, I'm not. That's where they talk about dumb things.
Yeah, the after show turns off basically everybody.
More or less. I mean, including myself. Usually, I kind of zone out during that as well. No. So, for those of you that didn't catch on tonight, Terry Miller is somewhere in Phoenix. We don't quite know where. We haven't been able to track him down. He went right from Las Vegas to Phoenix, and I believe he is picking up cameramen from airports. He is arranging Airbnb, moving places. I don't know what that guy does. What I do know is that he's getting prepped for the Memorial. You can find all of the post-production for the Memorial exclusively on the Disc Golf Guy channel this year. He's going to be covering MPO1, MPO2, FPO1, and I heard maybe MP40 if they can kind of arrange it. Don't hold me to that, though. This was just kind of what he had told me on the side. I don't even know if I should be sharing that, but he's not here, so we're going to talk about whatever we want. So Terry is gone for the night. We've got Tyler Brickley here filling in for Terry. Oh, I need to do something here. Hold on, Tyler, because you're not Terry. So we're going to just do that. That's perfectly clear and legible, close enough.
You know what? Hey, I've got it on my end too.
Do you? You've got
Yeah, and there you go.
Oh, that's perfect. Yes.
Is that big enough?
It could be a little bit bigger. It's you've got drop shadow, so you're fancy. Oh, wow. So this past weekend, I was busy doing button pushing for the MPO field, doing the live broadcast. But that means I actually got to sit and enjoy watching the FPO broadcast. Tyler, did you watch the FPO broadcast? Did you catch what happened?
No. Are we going to talk about it?
We might. I'm not sure. Oh,
spoilers.
Yes. Spoilers.
I'm going to go back and watch the whole thing. I heard our new player Katrina got top 10, so I'm not sure how it comes out yet.
Yeah, it's you're going to be pleasantly surprised, let me tell you.
Let me just Google it really fast.
I think she only blew the lead once. That's how it's framed, right?
Does Statmando watch these things, JVD?
Of course. Evan or Dion.
Evan. I want to know because I counted in on round 4, Paige and Kat went back 4 times, so there was 4 lead changes on the final day. But it would be really interesting to know how many there were total, because probably more than 4.
It was a phenomenal battle, obviously. Katrina coming out on top. It's coming down to hole 18, as it always does at the Las Vegas Challenge. Those courses, for better or worse, there's not a ton of score separation there. But it makes for exciting golf. It makes for a great beginning of the season. The players, again, say what you will about the golf course and the open style of play. I don't mind it here. I think getting the season started with a nice open bomber course where you can kind of just open up your arm and not have to think about a lot of lines or a lot of shot shaping is a fun event to have and a good way to start. There is a little bit of shot shaping on some of the greens. You need to be careful, as we found out on hole 18 from one Paige Pierce, who decided she was going to throw it into the water and let Katrina walk away without any extra holes like we saw in the MPO field. But it was a great battle. Like you said, the lead went back and forth a few times. Kat had it. Because they went into that round tied. Is that correct?
Yes. The final round.
Final round.
It was tied, and then Kat was up 6, and then tied again going into the last round. So wild.
Yeah, I mean, it was really exciting to watch the women play. From one of the reasons actually that I did want you on the show tonight is because you get to give us an interesting perspective. We just had Katrina on a few weeks ago, so we didn't really, and we all know
she's old hat.
She's old hat. I mean, I would never call her old, actually. So she would probably murder me. She's a wonderful, young, spry woman. But we did just have her on recently, and we all know she doesn't love staying up late. So when we push that button, the Katrina button, it better be worth it.
Yeah.
And this obviously would be worth it, but I think she's going to win a bunch more, so we're going to get her on later, and then we'll recap her first 12 wins of the season, or whatever that's going to be for DGA. So instead,
you weren't prepared for tonight, were you, JVD?
No, actually, I was. Terry actually was talking to me a little bit earlier today and said, hey, I think, if we really want to get Kat, maybe we could, and this and that. And we both were
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I got your email 2 weeks ago, Terry. And
no. You got
us. We've been talking about this. We've been talking about this for weeks, and it's all, you guys will not believe the production we've got on this show. Got some special transitions, some video clips, stats, the whole thing.
No, I think that's another Disc Golf Network show that does all that work.
Is that? Oh, that's not. Oh, this is the Nick and Matt show, right?
No.
Is that,
I'm not Nick, nor am I Matt. I know, you got on the wrong show. You got on the Slacker show.
I'm like, oh, I need to make a phone call. I'm not where I'm supposed to be tonight.
Or last night when they had the Nick and Matt show. Oh, wait, did they have the Nick and Matt show tonight? They switched name. They switched days.
I listened
recently.
to it. I think it happens. It came out late Sunday, I feel like.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, I wanted you on for a different perspective because you are, I don't want to say you're integral to DGA because you're not. You're kind of, you're superfluous. Is that how you pronounce that?
Not at all.
No, it's probably not how you pronounce it. Anyway, no, you are a DGA employee, and DGA has invested an unknown amount, but it's probably a fairly good number, into Katrina Allen.
Yeah. So
to see her come out on the first event of the year with discs that she's had for 2 months, I think she said early January is when she got them. Was there a lot of behind the scenes DGA talk? Honestly, like whatever your local Slack or Discord channel is. What was it like for DGA as a company to experience this? Like, because it's been a while since you guys have had like a top pro in a position like this.
Right. I don't know. Have you ever won the lottery, JVD?
A few times, scratch offs, and occasionally you hit the one Powerball.
Yeah, your first time then to win the lottery. Where I actually have a screenshot on my phone of Scott walked into the front office where most of the employees are congregated, and I had maybe 3 conversations with him before this about Katrina, but they were, kind of loose, kind of like this is, nothing is for sure, but this is kind of something that we talked about maybe talking to her about, and so it really did go from 0 to 60 because he kind of went up to the front office and he had me on a video call and he said, so we have signed a contract with Katrina Allen. And then obviously he couldn't get out any more words after that because we were all yelling. And I took a screenshot of that moment because I was just like,
wow,
passed out on the floor.
There were tears flowing and champagne bottles popping.
I mean, there was a
unicorn danced through at DGA's.
Now, that's on Heroin Fridays. That's when he comes through. Yeah, and then
you definitely brought out the Steady Ed hologram though, right? The one where he's dabbing.
Yeah, with the disco ball and the
yes.
Yeah, but anyway, that's too much behind the scenes. But there was like weeks after that. Everything just obviously got kicked into high gear, and we had just finished all of the Christmas, holiday celebration and sales and everything. And so there's this kind of moment.
The beanies you were trying to push every link, right?
Hey, go to discgolf.com. Thanks for bringing that up, JVD. Product placement. I happen to have. No, but just like there was this crazy rush of emotions of, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And holy S word, this is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Like we're about to.
It's a lot of work.
We're about to have some stuff to do, and we're about to start sprinting where everything was running fine before. Now it is sprinting. And so then we were sprinting. So, I mean, for a month after that, yeah, like you said, in January, and I'm flying to meet her, and we're making videos, and we're trying to turn those around, and we're doing flights, and we're doing, Vortex protos, and we're doing signature stamps that I'm helping with. There's just all these things, just content going out. And then actually when I released the Most Fun Wins video with me and her right before LVC was just like finally the first moment in maybe like 6 weeks that I was like, from a content creation point of view, like, okay, everything is off the desk, that we wanted to make.
And that lasted all of about 12 hours before she decided to start kicking ass at LVC.
There was that, but just going into LVC, it felt like, I guess if you're looking for a perspective, going into LVC, it just was like we just did all of this stuff, and I felt like we just hit the ground running, like as good as we possibly can with our, small team. And then to just watch shot after shot after shot of just her being amazing, being the amazing athlete that she is, and Ian calling out my favorite disc, which is the Torrent. And everybody who is familiar with DGA knows that the Torrent and me, it's kind of a meme. When I came in, I was like, tell me about the Hurricane, tell me about the Tempest. Do we have anything like in the middle of those? They're like, yeah, it's the Torrent. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the perfect distance driver, and I just fell in love with it. And I'm like looking around, why are people not talking about the Torrent? And they're like, I don't know, it's the Hurricane, the Hurricane is your, destroyer, Zeus, nuke, that in that sort of family. And that's the one, but I'm like, but there's one that's longer and faster and even easier to throw. And so I've kind of been on a soapbox about it for about 3 years. So it turns out, I mean, she throws a Hurricane a lot, but she's maining the Torrent, especially in this tournament. And so every time she threw it, I'm just, gleaming.
I'm clearly a little skewed. I think that it was really funny watching her throw, because she would throw clearly phenomenal shots and in general put the disc right where she wanted. But then every, so often she'd flip one over or yank one. And every time she did it, I was like, she probably just doesn't know her plastic as well yet. Even though she's probably going to do it for the rest of her life. Every pro does. We've seen it. It could be wind. It could be anything. But in my head, every time I watch her do that, because I have such a high respect for her drives, I'm just, I blame your plastic. That she doesn't quite know it yet. Like, oh, that's probably because she doesn't really know that disc yet, even though she's probably thrown it 7,000 times already.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and what I love too is Katrina has short-circuited so many podcast conversations in the last week. I've already listened to a few and seen the thread happen where there's a lot of new players throwing new bags. There were a lot of moves over the off season. And so that's kind of the first thing that you go to, if somebody doesn't perform, it's like, well, getting used to the new, and I've just seen it already so many times. Well, tell that to Katrina, obviously that doesn't apply to everyone. Just because you have a brand new bag doesn't mean you can't learn them and get out there.
I think there are some players that really rely on known discs that they have or have had in the past, whether they're seasoned or worn in or exactly what you're looking for. And there are some players that can literally just grab discs and within probably a few throws, understand the disc and know, all right, this is going to do this for me, and I don't need that other one. And sure, there's always probably, there's the ex-girlfriend syndrome where you're like, well, my new girlfriend's awesome, but the old girlfriend made really good pancakes. That's about it. And
what the heck are you talking about?
I'm talking about discs. They're shaped like pancakes. Okay. and in general, I think that like you might miss a little bit of something from an old disc, but you've got waffles now, my friend. And everyone knows waffles are better.
So I was we are actually the third category of people, by the way, who can pick up a disc and immediately understand that we're never going to be good at
100%. I'm never going to throw it like anybody I see on TV. Right. Every once in a while I have a great throw, and at that point I pick up my plastic and leave the course because it doesn't get better than that. But Katrina seems like the type of person who, she grabs the plastic and she learns it and she can just throw it. And you could tell she was dialed in, whether it was her drives, her mid-ranges, her approaches, her putting. I mean, I felt like she was a better long-distance putter this weekend than I've even seen her in a while, and she always had that long distance down. So whatever she has picked up has been a boon. And the other favorite thing that I like to see is everybody kind of, in the past, DGA and Discraft are, they're kind of cousin-y companies because Discraft obviously does some of the molding for you guys, and so everybody's always like, well, what Discraft discs is she throwing? And she's like, I don't need them. Like, I got what I need, and she proved it. It didn't look like she had a hole in her bag anywhere. Her keys weren't falling out, her discs, her bags weren't falling out.
I was interviewing her on our Instagram Live today, and she said, she's gotten that question a ton, and like, what shots are you missing? And she's like, I'm not missing any shots. On the contrary, I've found a couple that I've never had before. And she points to her signature rift, which I've described as a buzz S, so sure. It's our just dead straight mid-range. So you got the buzz and then the buzz SS, and this would be like a 6-month buzz or just something straight in the middle of that. And she said, I've never had a mid-range that feels so much like a fairway. I've never had a mid-range that I can throw so straight for so far. And she's using the Rift now in place of where she would have used fairway drivers, and what a greater amount of control that would give you.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, we see Drew Gibson do it to a crazy level, where his mid-ranges are going 400 and 450, unlike us normal people where, 250, like, oh, that's a good mid-range shot, about 250. I can throw, and other than that, I'm pulling out fairway drivers. But that would make sense for her because she has that power. She's a 400-foot thrower easy. So for her to be able to pull out a mid-range, but did you guys, I'm assuming you guys have some sort of company-wide back channel talk, whether a Slack or something along those lines, mm-hmm. or what was it like in there this weekend? Like, were you, was everybody cheering? Were you worried? And how did you feel on that last day? Because I saw a couple tweets that you said you were more nervous on Sunday than you've maybe ever been watching disc golf.
I teared up on 18. I'll be completely honest with you, because you can appreciate putting your heart and soul into a brand, mm-hmm. And I am so stoked on DJ. Here's the thing. I was so proud of where we were 2 months ago, because mm-hmm. just in terms of like just the progression of things, and like I work my butt off, and it's great stuff, and people are starting to see it, and that's just like so rewarding to me. So then all of a sudden to just go like there's 3 years of that, it's kind of steady increase marketing, right? Mm-hmm. But to just like then just skip 5 years, like that's kind of how it feels, like from a branding point of view.
You're like the Bitcoin of disc golf. Just you suddenly shoot up.
I keep texting Kat like maybe every 2 or 3 days, and just randomly we'll just say, hey, just wanted to say you're great. Or like, hey, it's still an honor to, be on your team. I just wanted you to know. And she's sending me eye roll emojis and stuff now. So,
that's probably actually Austin. Stay away. This is getting creepy, Tyler.
Yeah, right. No, we've had a really fun time, and she's so funny too, which is why I'm excited to get her on more most fun wins type challenge videos. That first one was super, super fun, and the reception to it was out of this world. So anyway, but I was saying I was tearing up on hole 18, and you asked about the back channels. Our Discord server, we actually had live hangouts most of the week, starting Friday, and then we also did Saturday, where we were just on a Discord stage, and people were in there, and we're just all watching DGN and chatting at the same time. And then I didn't on Sunday just because I was so glued to the coverage. Like literally, I wasn't, able to comment or tweet or do anything. I was just biting my nails, breathing into a paper bag, watching every single shot, which, by the way, congratulations on the coverage. It was an amazing broadcast from a technical point of view, and DGN is so solid now in terms of all the assets that you guys have in it. Super fun to watch.
Yeah, we're I mean, it's amazing what a dedicated crew and a crap ton of money can do to improve a broadcast. Like, we have so many really good cameramen, and I think honestly some of the best in the business. Just, these are actual cameramen that a year or two ago moved to disc golf, and we have the equipment that we need. We have guys that are really, really dedicated to making the product better. The drone, we've got Trent, who's flying our drone stuff almost constantly, and it gives us such a great perspective of the fairways and the greens. And every once in a while, I get a little sneaky, and I'm like, I'm going to take this shot from the drone. It's like a 26-foot putt. And God, I hope that they make it, because it sounds really cool when they do, but when they miss it, it's just like. So I got lucky and unlucky in a few shots, but yeah, I mean, the DGN is really it's doing great. We're in a really good place right now. So speaking of DGN, if on a slightly somber note, if you happen to be friends with Mahmood on any social media, just send him a heart. Dude's had a rough 2 days. So,
oh no,
yeah, he's his cat of 20 years passed away. So it hit him awfully hard. So if you happen to be out there, just send him just a heart. That's it, or a little cat emoji or something. I don't know.
Doing it right now.
So that's from us, from Smashbox. Mo is the glue in the control room. He's the guy that literally is telling us what to show at every single moment. He has an uncanny knack of timing. He will watch the show, and we're live on the first group, the lead card, and we'll cut over to something else, and he knows almost like 2 or 3 or 4 steps ahead of what we plan on doing before players have even thrown. He's like, all right, we're going to go here, and then we're going to go to here, and this person hasn't thrown yet, but then we're going to go to there, and we're going to come back to here, and they should be walking up to their disc. And I'd say a good 90 to 95% of the time he's dead on. So he has such a phenomenal knack for producing and timing that we couldn't do what we do without Mo, and it's awesome. So Mo's the man. But yeah,
hearts for Mo.
Hearts for Mo. But yeah, I mean, the watching the women on Sunday was awesome. Just the back and forth, and I was nervous watching it, and thankfully I wasn't switching it, because usually if I'm behind the boards, I don't really have a vested interest. I'm just kind of more so in each individual shot as opposed to a story. But getting to watch the FPO story was great. There was all this talk of, the Europeans coming in, and are they going to dominate? Are they going to be competing for, these wins? And maybe they just aren't acclimated yet, but Cat and Paige just kind of put their foot down, and we're like, this is still our our land.
Anybody, I mean, I think that you could say that about Henna possibly, but Kristen and Evelina, I mean, they played a heck of a tournament.
They did.
Honestly. You know, like I have seen that comment out there like, oh, bummer about the Europeans. I'm like, what are you talking about? They stayed on lead card like the entire time and
yeah, Tatar was only 5 strokes. Yeah, Tatar was only 5 strokes back. Evelina was 11, but still in 5th place, you know, and that was due to kind of a weaker final round compared to some of the other women, where the other women were shooting 8s and 9s, 7s, 8s, and 9s. She came out with a 3. But, you know, you give her kind of a 7 or an 8, and she's right there with Tatar and King and everyone. It's just that, again, as we know, Kat and Paige still have that, still a little bit better than everybody else.
The it factor.
They do. They have the it factor. And part of that might be just being comfortable with winning, being in that position. You know, this is, you know, Tatar is probably getting more comfortable with all the cameras and the exposure that she got last year. Evelina and Henna probably aren't at that point yet. Hopefully they can get there after a few weeks where they're going to be having multiple cameras and interviews and everybody's kind of looking at them and expecting them to do well. Kristen got that last year, so she's probably comfy with this. I'm excited to see what they do for the Memorial and Waco, and I don't know how long they're actually in the U.S. for. I don't know what their schedule is, but
well, Kat's giving them a week off, so yes. make hay while the sun shines, FPO, because then you'll be back at it. You'll be back against her at Waco.
Yeah, and I don't blame her. As much as I think she likes playing the Memorial because she has played well there, and for a while she was in Phoenix and living. She earned a week off, I think. So
that's not what we said.
Well, no,
we said what? No, it was our first big fight. We're still, we're still working through it. Yeah,
you'll get there. Has she asked for a LVC signature disc yet? You know, is she going to get a signature for every win?
We're the ones calling her, by the way. We're like, hey, can we get you anything? Like, do you want an LVC signature disc? That's the, like, as much as I like the other narrative. Again, like, I'm the one texting her, hey, still honored.
Still honored. We love being on the team.
She is actually there. We have a booth at the Fly Mart, and we're going to release our Tour Series discs there tomorrow. And we've got most of Team DGA there. They're going to be signing autographs and something. So if you guys are in Arizona, we're going to be around the Memorial tomorrow from noon to 5.
Yeah, usually that happens in the parking lot by Spinners on the Green. That's usually where the Fly Mart is. At least it has been in the past, but it's been a few years since I've been there, so it could be a little bit different this year. So don't quote me on that. If you're in Arizona, get that checked out. I've picked up some really, really awesome discs from the Memorial over the past. Usually, it used to be Discraft would always release, whatever their new disc was at the Memorial, and so I got a stack of old 10-year buzzes. I remember, I think it was the Nuke OS that was released there. I don't know. I got a bunch of stuff stacked away. So
you grabbed the Hypercane we released there 2 years ago, right?
I wasn't there. No, I missed out.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But if you,
I would have grabbed probably all of them.
Actually, Terry, I think, did get a bunch of them.
He does. He's a hoarder that way, and he will.
Yeah.
So what are the plans for Kat? Honestly, from DGA's perspective, is it just more media?
She won LVC, so we're going to give her another couple months. It's kind of you familiar with the Princess Bride?
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of the relationship. It's like, good job, Kat, sleep tight. We'll most likely fire you in the morning. But if she keeps winning,
I was confused. I thought there was going to be a different Kat, like a Dread Pirate Roberts. Like she was just going to hand her bag to somebody else, and they were going to be the new Katrina Allen. I was confused as to what you meant.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's not Katrina Allen that you've seen out there. Even in January, we did replace her.
Yeah. The old Katrina Allen, the original Katrina Allen, retired and handed hers off to this Katrina Allen, which retired. And
that's exactly it.
That's how it works.
In terms of what's next, it's we are just.
Do you have marketing plans? I mean, do you have just doing stuff, marketing plans with her, and disc releases and all that other good stuff?
There are disc releases. Yeah, there's not.
How many new discs? How many new discs are we going to see from DGA this year? Are we going to see new discs?
17.
Wow, that's a lie.
Actually, yes.
You're the worst liar, by the way. You're the worst. For everybody, and maybe I said this on the podcast, I reached out to Tyler in, maybe it was late last year, early this year, and I was like, I've heard rumors. And you were like, no, that's not true. None of it is true. No. And we're looking at another player.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I had you with Nico. I threw up Nico as a smokescreen. Come on, you bit it. Come on, you were biting.
I said there would be like I was about 20% bid on that one. Like, well, maybe they are. I mean, they need a top pro. He could be,
You sniffed it.
I did sniff it. Most certainly.
You nibbled the bait.
I definitely nibbled it. But you didn't fool me. I was ready for it. And, but yeah, so, I mean, I guess that's awesome. Coming out, her first event with DGA Plastic, winning. I mean, is the bar set too high now? I mean, is she? Do we need to? Is she going to win every event? I mean, is that how this works?
We don't set. I mean, so okay, this is going to sound super cliche, but I promise this is the real. This is the real answer. And she said this in her actual announcement video. She said it's crazy, empowering to have a company who just like wants to support me for who I am. You know, she's like, DGA is just like. We're already excited about everything that you've ever done. You know, we're not looking at Kat and thinking, gosh, I hope she gets us a world championship this year to make this all worth it. You know, like that is so not the vibe. We're looking at Kat as like, look at all of this stuff she's already accomplished, you know? And while of course I'd be lying if I said we didn't want her to go win things, what I'm truly believe is like just who she is and just everything she's done right now, like that's who's on our team and that's who we're excited about, not the potential for what she could do for us in the future. So there really is that kind of like perspective of us looking at her and saying like, what do you need? And how can we support you? And then she sets the bar for herself. And it would be incredibly naive for anyone to think they could set a higher bar for Kat than she already sets for herself, right?
Yeah, no, she's a workaholic. She is a machine. Constantly, she's got her routine. You know, sleep, work out, putt, drive, work out, dinner, some steak of some sort, and then do it over.
I got to film basically like a day in the life. With her. I was thinking about, I never actually ended up putting that together, but we started at 6 and like she slept in, you know, so that I wasn't having to wake up at 4 a.m. to go to the gym or whatever. But yeah, we did most of her just normal daily routine. And I'm like, wow, she does this every day. And it's pretty insane. Like
that's what that's what winners do. That's why we don't do it.
Is that what it is?
It is. It is. Yeah.
She gave me an interesting concept earlier when we were on Instagram Live because everybody was talking about ice baths. And she said, if you just push through the discomfort for a few minutes, then it's great. I'm like, yeah, that's where I would lose you. You know, that's not a concept I'm familiar with. Which
is really funny because I just literally read an article last week saying that ice baths are probably not good for you. Like a lot of
I got a text her.
A lot of pro athletes think in that it actually slows down the recovery time because you know the guy who actually kind of wrote the original paper on ice baths wrote an update saying, hey, we've done a bunch more research because this was from the late 70s and we've done all this research and we find out that they really, you know, they don't help promote recovery like we thought it did. That they might still have some advantages, but not like we originally thought. So maybe rethink what you're doing for that. So it was an interesting read. So, but I mean, it's not bad
communication
for you, so.
In the 70s. Whoops. Somebody said something about ice.
Yeah,
and they didn't know they were talking about drugs. They thought it was a bath, and then
like a bathhouse, and
yeah,
so.
And then the rest is history.
The rest is history. Has DGA seen, and maybe. And you probably are privy, but you can lie to me.
Millions of dollars, JVD.
Yeah.
Millions.
Have you seen an uptick?
And that's just my commission.
Wow.
That's my 2%.
Like, has the marketing worked? Honestly, have do you feel like there's, when you go online,
it's working. There's so many suckers out there.
Oh my
God. And they think.
No.
Well, I shared a stat with our staff yesterday, actually, because I'm aware, but I was just kind of poking around. I'm like, since signing Andrew Marweed and then Katrina, it's almost like not news, because of course the metrics are going to be up. But like, let's check a couple, and again, like steady growth. Like, I was already proud of where our metrics were, but like Facebook, for example, our Facebook engagement, interactions, and reach was up 3.4 thousand% for the 2 months since we brought Andrew on versus the 2 months before. So to put that in actual numbers, like, if less than 100,000 people, which is a lot, unique Facebook accounts had interacted with our channel in those 2 months before, now there's 2.5 million in the last 2 months since Andrew and Kat have come on. So it's like,
and that's where I was getting. I wasn't asking for sales numbers. I wanted to know if engagement and interest and all this stuff, if you saw a big uptick or like a medium uptick, or depending on what if you even had a pre-thought as to like, okay, we're going to probably see this and we got to here, or if you guys were, relatively close, is like, we're going to see this and awesome, we got here. I don't know. That's why I don't run this stuff.
On the social media side and the branding, the community and engagement, that is all on my desk, I guess you could say, in terms of the sales numbers and the investment portion of it. The buck doesn't stop with me there, but I'm managing the engagement. And so from my point of view, I can't keep up. So, I mean, that's probably the best way to answer your question, where before I was in every channel and group and Slack chat, and across all these different social media channels. And when somebody would mention DGA, I'd be happy to answer questions and engage and hopefully make them laugh and have a fun interaction. And since Andrew, and then definitely with Kat, it's just too much. Like, literally, for my mental health, I have to put the phone down, because if I wanted to, I could, without sleeping, respond to comments and reshare, people tagging us in their Instagram stories and stuff like that. So if I miss you, by the way, right now, sorry, but I am doing so much more. But that's been fun for me, by the way. I don't want to play the victim here, because I've been working for that for so long. And I've messaged Kat about this again when I message her and say, I'm honored you're on our team. I've messaged her, and said, like, this is so rewarding for me, who's been working to just get more and more people to know about how awesome our discs and baskets are. And then all of a sudden now we have like hundreds of thousands of people asking about our discs and about our baskets. And I'm like, that's the dream.
That is. It's what you hope for. It's what you want. I mean, I think me personally, I've always thought DGA had the best baskets.
Hot take, SmashBox.
I know.
DGA is the best. Can I tell you my next ad I want to make? I probably shouldn't, but I wanted. Somebody asked about our putters, and they said, it's cool that your guys' putters even work on other manufacturers' baskets. And I responded with, yes, we actually make them all backwards compatible. And I thought, oh man, I really like that as just like a
concept.
It's like a subtle little edgy concept, the backwards compatibility, like our putters also work on other backwards products, and that's why we make them backwards compatible with everybody else. It's like I'm calling other baskets backwards, Johnny.
I get it. Yeah.
That's the joke. You hate it. That's fine.
No, I'm sitting here trying to think of because obviously when I think backwards compatibility, I think things like software or gaming systems, and that's where my head was going.
You're not in it for the pun.
Yes.
You're
I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of a commercial where it's like, hey, we have this brand new putter, and look, it works on all of our old baskets as well as our new baskets. So we backwards compatibility. And then
I don't want to call our old baskets backwards.
I mean,
I want to call their baskets backwards.
I know, but backward compatibility just means older.
Listen, it's the suspension of disbelief. I just need you. I just need you to dream. I'm going to cast the vision so that we can kind of mildly tease, poke fun at the competition, and then we're gone. Then we're on to the next commercial.
Sure, that makes sense.
Daniel gets it in the chat. So
Paul Martin gets it better. So that's what I care about.
Paul, we each have somebody. That's what YouTube chat's for.
Exactly. Oh God, no YouTube chat. Yes, our YouTube chat is phenomenal. YouTube chat during broadcasts,
DGN broadcast,
not nearly as phenomenal. Just saying. I would be okay if they clicked the little button that said no commenting or no chatting. That's just me. I don't make those decisions. Yeah, so let's get back a little bit more to the results. Obviously, Katrina Allen takes home the victory over Paige Pierce. Hole 18, Paige goes for arguably Elaine called it out immediately before she even threw that it was a dangerous shot. It's the same thing she did in a previous round. I think it's the same thing she did in a previous year. She let go of that disc early. Paige ends up skipping in the water, gets stuck behind the bush, can't make the putt to save a birdie, ends up taking a 5, and Katrina Allen very easily puts it up there for a birdie and takes the win. Kristen Tatar, as we said, 5 strokes behind Kat, taking 3rd place. Haley King shooting an 8 under final round to get herself up into 4th. Evelina, who's on our lead card, 1st round. So if you want to go watch that, the only place you can find it is Disc Golf Network. She shoots a 19 in 5th place. Ella Hansen with a 9 down. These courses are made for Ella. This is her style. She's a power thrower. What I was surprised about is how good her putting looked. It looks like she's really been working on it. I think her putting was kind of a weak point in the previous years and something she'll even admit to, but that final round, it looked great. So I'm excited to see what Ella can do. 7th place, Missy Gannon. 8th place, the Crusher, Holland Handley. She threw phenomenally well all weekend. Shot a 4 down this round. I know she had a few little blips, but overall, again, another course made for a big arm, and that goes right into Jen Allen and Kat March, both of which can throw a disc very, very far. So that is your top 10 for the women. Tyler, were there any other, through the tiers, did you have any other thoughts about the FPO field? Did you see anything that surprised you? Did you see anything that stuck out as abnormal or something you were excited about for the upcoming year?
I did have the thought midway through the last round about all the new faces, and I know they're not new, to the scene, but I feel like relatively new. Like you mentioned, Holland Handley, when you would cut to her, or even Ella. Am I wrong? Am I right in saying that was a little bit of a breakout performance for Ella? Because I feel like she was talked about last year quite a bit, but didn't maybe have that podium or that star performance.
A little bit.
I guess she was probably talked about because she performed well somewhere, and
I think it was
missed it. Right?
It might have been Portland last year. I forget exactly where it was, but she had a really good performance last year as well, and she was always just kind of playing decently, top 10-ish. But I think it was Portland, and I'm not 100% sure, where she played very well. We got to see a couple new names that even Julie Mowens, who I had never really heard of, which is kind of funny. I listen to a lot of podcasts, Tyler. I listen to a lot of disc golf podcasts. I tend to pop in, kind of skip through, see if there's anything interesting, and then get out. But it's really funny listening to some of these other podcasts. They're Like I had heard one podcast talk about, I'd never really heard of this Natalie Ryan, or I'd never seen Rebecca Cox before. Is she kind of new? Or it's like, no, she's kind of just been off the scene for 2 years. Or Emily Beach, who made, which I'll give a little bit more forgiveness. Emily made her debut a couple years ago at DDO. She throws very, very far as well. Emily is a strong thrower. Was it Portland?
People are saying Portland is where Ella. Nice work, JVD.
That's good because I have a horrible memory for that stuff because they all blur together. When you've seen so many of the same, when everything is like this big to your screen because you're switching between 8 cameras, you just lose perspective on a lot of things.
Interesting. Oh, by the way, can you do some behind the scenes content? And only aired on DGN.
Yeah. I did a little recording. It wasn't much. It was I was going to tweet it out, and I recorded it, and then I got pulled away from something else of just doing some Ian Lunger doing some camera calling with Mo and the crew we had, because this weekend we had the biggest crew we've probably ever had. DGN is investing, folks.
Just in terms of weight. Or like numbers?
Yes, weight. We've all put on some pounds over the winter.
In the production van, the tires were dangerously...
Yeah, the air pressure was struggling. No, we had Ian Lunger, who kind of does the same thing I do. We direct the show. He was directing FPO in the morning. I was directing MPO, which is, why MPO looked so much better. I'm just kidding. No, Ian. I'll say it 100%. Ian is a way better director than I am. He gets the best out of the cameras because he actually does camera work for the Portland Trail Blazers, and so he hears a lot of the actual what real producers and directors do that we've all just made up on the fly. And so I think he's a better director than me. I'm as Tyler can probably attest to, and most people in the thing, I'm better with the computer stuff. So when something freaks out or audio isn't going to the right place or something like that, I'm very quick to be able to respond. He is not that, because he's more focused on, hey, okay, camera 3, push in real slow, get a head to waist shot, and then I'm going to fade to here, and he makes it all look really pretty. I'm just like, camera, cut now, and I pound on the table like a caveman.
How many camera operators did you have out there this weekend, and are they all hearing the calls from the booth all the time?
All the time.
Wow.
So to put it in perspective, we had 7 camera operators, 3 on lead card, 2 on chase card, 1 on a roaming camera that we would send to usually if someone from the 4th or 5th card was shooting really hot, and then the drone operator. And then in the final round, I think we pulled one of the cameras and put them on what we call... I think it's the FX6 or is the FS6. I always confuse it. I always call it the fancy cam. It's the one that gives you the really cool slow-mo shots, the 120 frames and all that fun stuff, which we ended up really barely using for the MPO round. FPO, I think they used it a few times, and it looked really nice. So 7 camera operators. So honestly, what they usually hear is a constant stream of me talking for 3 to 4 hours, more or less saying, ready camera 1, take camera 1, ready camera 2, ready camera 2, take camera 3. Camera 3, can you pull out? You're a little exposed. Camera 3, on 3, going
camera
to 4,
can I
ready
3,
4.
Now 3, now 4, now 4, now 4, now 5.
It's exactly what it is. And it's about 3 hours. The only time they get a break is during a commercial when I'll just tell somebody, all right, camera 2, I'm probably coming back to you in a minute, so just give me something. I don't really care what it is because they're probably standing on the tee, just lounging, waiting for the next group to finish. And usually by the time we get to them, camera 1 or whoever will be ready with a shot, and we'll go to them. But it's a stream of consciousness, just seeing cameras and going back and forth. So that's what the camera operators will usually hear. And
one of these days, I hope to get to see that all happening in real life. That's a bucket list item of mine. But I was wondering, I was like, man, you should set up a camera, just in the studio and just let people see the chaos for 5 minutes or something and post that to DGN as a bonus behind the scenes or whatever.
Yeah, Todd Rainwater, actually, the owner of the company, wanted to live stream the studio at one point for a while, and he thought that would be a fun thing. And Mo and I both looked in at each other and we're like,
there's too many cuss words. Like,
probably
too
not
much screaming. Mo's like, JVD, what the beep are you doing? No, you guys are just running around.
Mo and I haven't yelled at each other. Well, and I'll say this: Mo never yells. He gets he gets huffy. You can tell when he's upset because he sighs into the microphone as we're all in. You just literally hear. And that's when you know something didn't go right. Me, I am the yeller because Mo will ask something and it won't quite be as easy or quick as he thinks, and or I'll take a wrong camera that he wasn't thinking because I saw something else. Or my favorite this past weekend was we have 2 replay cameras, camera replay operator A. And then I am also not only directing and switching, but I run kind of like a backup replay in case we need it for camera 6, so which we call replay B. He's sitting next to me, and this is the final round, and he goes, "All right, we're gonna go to A, B." And I look for Anthony Barella because Mo calls him AB, and so I'm waiting, and he's like, no, replay B. I'm like, no, you said AB. And he's like, no, I said A then. And I'm like, oh. And like there was like a split second where I was like, no, you were wrong. Like, that's not what you said, dude. And then we were like, oh yeah, that's kind of funny. Ha ha. But we're very good. There was a few yelling incidents last year where I would lose my temper. And I get that. It's like, for me, it's like it builds up. And then it's like, rah! Okay, cool. We're good now. Let's get back to work, buddy. And like that. Well, Mo doesn't yell. He gets very upset and sighs. That's the way it works.
I mean, Frank, it's super understandable because you are, like you talk about your brain like a machine. You are super high RPM, constantly throttled up in terms of your personal brain activity, calling these shots without any letdown, without any breaks probably to speak of, for hours and hours and hours. And then when you add in a stressful or, some anxiety into that problem solving, I could see just absolutely snapping.
And that's my nature. And on top of that, we've got some of the best cameramen because they are so good at things that most people don't see. If you're on the course, you probably do see it, but there are times that we will have, I'm on, especially around the green, they are so good at being able to work off of each other because I'll have the front shot where the player is going to be throwing into the basket, and then I've got another camera off to the side that's going to give me the reaction. So I usually say, all right, I'm on camera 3, camera 1, if he hits the shot, I'm coming to you. Player drains the putt. I cut to camera 1, which is the close-up, the reaction of them going to get the disc. As he's doing that, camera 3 will run around to the other side of the green in all of maybe 4 to 5 seconds, plant his camera, get to the next shot so I can quickly cut to the next, whoever's putting next, and go with them. Those guys are a well-oiled machine. And I can't thank them enough because they work off each other very, very well, and it makes my job just a lot bit easier, but much easier than it is. And it took us a while to get there because there were mutinies almost last year with communication between the control room and the cameras. And we finally found a very good working system, and I think a lot of people are much happier this year about it. So that's great.
So you take all that. And then somebody sums all that up with, the YouTube comment of like, the audio's a little low, or like they just picked like one
audio's
tiny
the
thing.
Worst. Audio's the worst. We just hired a guy that's going to be working with us for audio, doing like leveling cameras and such. Tosi, Jeff Tosi is his name, but we all call him Tosi because we already have another Jeff. We have 2 Jeffs in the organization now.
And
3,
frankly, Jeff's a stupid name compared to Tosi worst. As a last name.
Yeah.
So
if you got to go Tosi. Yeah. And so he's going to be working on leveling cameras because, again, the other thing that I have to focus on is if we go to an on-course interview, like usually on the final round, the camera, whoever's like Terry is interviewing, will take the wired mic, plug it into channel 2. I need to open up my audio mixer, make sure that the audio is in the right channel because otherwise you get a little bit of echoey double audio from the onboard and the mic, which there's plenty of times we've done. And so there's a lot of thinking that, and then every once in a great while, maybe somebody will plug it into the wrong channel. They'll plug it into like channel 1, and then I'm like, what the, and then you like, oh, I figure it out because I can see the bars moving up and down. And but audio is the worst because you have, there's not a good solution for, and we've been trying to figure it out. Like we want, it's not really disturbing, but it's a little disturbing when you hear all these people on the tee, and then I cut to camera 2, and then suddenly it's like silent because there's nobody on the green other than the camera, as opposed to the people cheering after whoever threw it, or the one guy who always has to yell, "Get in the hole." You can't miss that guy. So
is that Terry's workflow, by the way? So he's got a live box to the studio, but he's just literally unplugged until he hears his name called?
Yeah, he's literally on the same type of connection you are on right now. He is on a vMix call to us. We're sending him the program. So he's constantly listening to Ian and Philo, as well as Mo when he wants to chime in. And it's just a cell phone. It's a cell phone with a microphone connected to it, a nice mic. And it's very difficult because, Ian will just at times be like, oh, hey, Terry, how far away is that putt? Is it down the hill? Did it roll out of bounds? And Terry's position is usually about 3/4 to the basket. 3/4 on the fairway or the basket, depending on the hole. Terry's very good at determining that. And so there are times that if there's a lot of people, that cell phone connection just crashes and dies. So you'll hear, as everyone knows, you'll hear Ian say, oh, Terry, can you tell us about that? And you hear crickets. And there's nothing. And it's maybe because Terry's phone didn't crash or work, or the website we're on doesn't work, or whatever. And we're all constantly trying to find a better way, a better solution to the on-course person than this single cell phone that we rely on to come in and out. And there are really good, really expensive solutions, but we don't want to spend $750,000 on a communications
on Terry.
On Terry, we don't want to spend $750,000 or $250,000 on Terry's ClearCom solution. So,
well,
so we're still working on it.
Imagine playing the YouTube playing the broadcast on YouTube, and then walking around 2 miles worth of a park. It's obvious that in certain spots, it's going to buffer or something like that, and that's essentially his. Technologically, that's his workflow. That would be really difficult. I'm actually now very impressed that 8 times out of 10 it's crystal clear and
that it
without
works.
Any delay, and
it's to me it feels like a minor. I will sit and watch when Ian calls for Terry. I'll watch my audio bars, and every time I see Terry start to talk, sometimes not even in my head, but I'm just like, yes, it worked that time, because it feels so. It's such a little thing, and it should work all the time. So I actually had a discussion with Ian Anderson after the broadcast on Sunday night, after MPO finishes up, and we're all frustrated that there were extra holes, which we'll talk about in a minute, because the production crew never wants extra holes. It's more work for us.
Yeah.
I had everybody over to the house here at the new place, and so there's 8 or 9 or 10 of us here. And I was talking to Ian. I said, we can come up with, I think, a better way to throw to Terry. If we instead leave it open, we need to find a way, rather than him actually calling out Terry, say something along the lines of, and we're going to give a little inside baseball here, say something along the lines of, we couldn't quite see where that putt is. We're going to get more information. And then just be quiet and let Terry chime in. So if he's there, then Terry chimes in and says, actually, Ian, that putt did roll down the side of the hill and is resting right on the edge of the OB.
Yeah.
And then we need to chime back in, as opposed to throwing it to Terry and saying, hey, Terry, and then getting crickets. Because if nobody answers Ian within 3 or 4 seconds, Ian knows that the call doesn't work and it bombs. It makes us look a little smarter and less dumb when it doesn't work.
Yeah, so, that sounds super smart. Just put it out there and then kind of wait, and then if it works, it's great.
If it works,
it's actually a plus. If it works, it looks like, oh, hey, here's a little bonus intel that I just heard you guys needed, as opposed to responding to their request.
Yeah, that was my idea 2 days ago that I told Ian on Sunday night. I said, this is what we got to work on. And Ian's like, I like that. That's a good idea. So, and I told Terry as well. And it's just a matter of, making sure everybody's on the same page, because not the last thing, but if Ian says we'll get more information on that, and then Elaine chimes in, well, actually, it kills the whole plan, because we need to make sure we that everybody's on the same page. But yeah, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. Yeah. So anyway, so we had myself and Ian, Mo doing producing, Gary doing replay, as well as Gary training a woman by the name of Christine to do replay, who actually works for the Cleveland baseball team. Is it the Commanders? Is that their new name? They used to be the Cleveland Indians. They're no longer the Indians. I think.
Sure.
The Commanders, I think. Anyway, the Cleveland baseball team, she does replay for them. We had Nick, our graphics guy. We had we have two PAs that just sit there and log shots. Every time a shot comes on, they have a spreadsheet and they type out what it is and things that happen. Plus, obviously, we had the commentators.
For reference later, like with highlight reels and
yes, so
we want to go back and do let's see cats run, over the front 9 holes.
Yeah, so we could literally look at, like, probably they could do a search for, like, circle 2 putt, and it would show in this log all the circle 2 putts and the times that they happened. So if we didn't happen to grab it in replay, which we usually do, but there's maybe a chance we don't, they can go back and snag it.
Wait, they're logging every shot or every replay?
Every shot.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah, they sit there every time, basically almost every camera cut, not quite everyone, but every shot that we show on the broadcast, they log. They don't log all the shots from all the cameras, but they log all the shots that are actually shown on the broadcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a big...
Still, that's amazing.
Yeah, I know, and I was sitting there, and I was watching them because I had some time while MPO, and I was like, have you guys ever heard of this program called Auto Hotkey? And he was like, well, what do you mean? And it's basically a shortcut command. So instead of typing, because they will literally type in Katrina Allen, hole 7, circle 2 putt. And that's the line. And instead, what you can usually do is hit like .cat, and then when you hit a space, and it recognizes that string and goes, oh, this means Katrina Allen. It'll type it out for you. .bh, backhand. .h2, hole 2. And it will shortcut it for you. So I'm hoping that the guys remember that and they take a look at that. It might make their jobs a little easier. Yeah, so we had all those guys and women in the control room this weekend. So it was a full house of us doing a ton of work. So we're working on bigger and better things. It's always getting bigger and better. So we're investing. I'm not doing any investing. The Pro Tour is doing the investing. DGN is doing investing into the product. So don't think that the dollars that you spend to watch are going into anybody's pocket other than the employees who are getting paid. So that is
nice cover.
The great thing.
Nice cover, JVD. We know you're.
I doubled my rates hourly. I doubled everything. I'm just kidding.
Who is AHK?
AHK.
Oh, Washington Commanders is the new NFL team.
That's the NFL team.
Guardians is the answer you were looking for.
Guardians. Guardians. Yeah, funny. I knew it was something like Commanders, Guardians. They're two new teams that I couldn't remember. But all right, we're going to talk a little bit about the MPO side of the game. As I so unsubtly hinted at, we saw a playoff between Drew Gibson and Gannon Burr. Gannon is the 16-year-old phenom who seems to hit putts from everywhere, in any condition, from any perspective. And I kind of hate him.
Rude.
Kind of hate him for that a little bit. He's 16, so he's got his life ahead of him, and I hate him for that too, as opposed to me, who's withering and dying right now, basically on my last leg. So, send your best regards. But no, Gannon, 16-year-old, seems like a great kid. Great interview. Looks like he has a really good perspective against Drew Gibson, who's I'm going to go right out and say that I saw his performance last year at the Pro Tour finale with his putting, and I thought, oh, that's awesome. He had a great putting day, or a great putting weekend. It was doing okay last year, but Drew has always been known for kind of faltering for his putts. Always kind of was the guy that came up just a little short on the putts in general and never really had the complete package. But after watching last year's Pro Tour Championship and this event, I might be a believer. I'm very
something's happened.
Yeah, I'm very close to being a believer in his putt. I think he's done something, like maybe he's practiced, which would be good.
So he came here to Kansas City. I got to hang out with him a little bit because he came to do a like a driving clinic, and then they had a little indoor putting event at a rock climbing gym. The owner of the gym flew Drew in to,
sure,
host this event, and so I got to go to it, and the video's out. Mikey from Overthrow Disc Golf posted the video on Drew's channel of Drew just running the course, like as an example, with the owner, and then Drew was there that night and going through and putting, and it's just like he's on to something right now. I mean, he's first try making them. I mean, you watch the video and you just kind of assume that maybe it's a multiple take deal, but I mean, it wasn't. I mean, he has something dialed in, towards the end of last season, and it's run all the way through the off season from what I'm seeing. And then obviously, he just proved it, just kind of locked in that idea. If anybody was wondering, is Drew a really, really, really good putter now? Boom, there you go.
I think
it's
the answer
been proven.
Yeah, I think the answer is yes. So consider me a believer in Drew Gibson's putt, and if he can continue to putt like this, he's a top 5 guy every weekend. So the rest of the field better hope that it's an aberration over the last year or so, because Drew Gibson is here to play. In fact, we reached out to Drew tonight. We truly did, and he is busy. He's at an Airbnb because he's buying a house, and he's got to be moving a bunch of stuff soon. Because we asked him if he could be on the show tonight to talk, because we haven't had Drew on in a little while, but he actually declined because he's like, I can't commit to it. He's like, I would love to, but I can't definitely commit. And I don't want to put you guys in that point where you get to you get to an hour before the show and you're calling Tyler Brickley. Like, I just don't want to do that to you.
Imagine. Yeah, it's like the death of your show, for crying out loud.
Yeah. So Drew was unable to join the show tonight, but he definitely joined the show this past weekend, shooting 39 under par after a miserable, I'm going to throw that in quotes for him, first round where he shot, a 5 down. He was 6 off of the lead. I'm sorry, because Dickerson shot an 11. He was 6 off the lead, and he comes back to tie Gannon on the last few holes. Gannon had a really unfortunate break on hole 18. He just kind of overpowered it a little bit on 18, caught it a little high, got up and just skimmed OB. I was watching it the funny part was I was watching it in my monitor, and I didn't even realize that was OB. I didn't see the line. I'm just like, oh yeah, he went a little past the basket. He's like 20 feet away, and everyone's like, no, he's OB. And I was like, no, really? That's OB back there? Huh. Wow, that sucks. And then it hit me. I was like, no, we're going to have extra holes. No, this is not what I want.
I didn't understand how tight 18's green is until I saw one of your drone, flyovers of 18's green. I'm like, oh, that pond just comes right up on the left.
It does.
And then you've got the golf green OB in the front, and then the hill just slopes off the back into another OB area behind it. I'm like, wow, that is... Because all we see are the cameras from the fairway looking straight up at it. And so it just makes it look like this giant backboard. And it's like, oh, it's a very easy birdie. But you don't get the sense of how uphill and then how dangerous around the pin it is, probably, unless you're in real life.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct there, because it's not as easy as these guys make it out to be. It's a pretty solid throw. Just to get to a point where you can attack the green, and then another powerful and accurate throw to get up close enough to the basket where you're not looking at a dangerous putt, because any putt could hit and roll back down towards you. You miss and get and roll, and you go OB deep. It's not as easy as it would. It played on for that final group, where we saw, obviously, Gibson take a 3. I think Humphreys took a 3. Jones and Tanner took 3s. Yeah, but there's not as many 3s as you'd expect for being as easy as it looks. Because you're right, from that second shot, you look at it, it's a lot of green. You see a lot of grass, a lot of open spot, but I'd take a 12.
Luke Humphreys, by the way. Luke Humphreys is a good friend of mine. We actually were on the golf team together in high school, fellow Wichitans there for a while. We got to play quite a bit when he was starting out his first couple of years. I gave him, some pointers.
A lot of tips. Did you call him before the weekend and just be like, hey, here's the deal, Luke.
Here's how you're going to do this.
Less throws is better.
Luke, I've been thinking about it. I've got like the beautiful mind drawing on all the glass. I feel like the OB has a lot to do with why somebody would like lose or win this. Now hear me out. 2 hours later, he's like, yeah, thanks. Yeah, no, he had such a great final round. It was cool to see him on the coverage, and excited to see what he can do this coming year. As we had an interesting rules situation with Andrew, by the way.
Was he one of the few that on day one or day two?
No.
That misplayed the hole. Okay, because I know there was a few people that got a 2-stroke penalty for misplaying the hole, including Tristan Tanner, who lost 2 strokes, who still would have been on the lead card, but lost 2 strokes and was not that. I don't think that that put him out of contention, but it definitely didn't help his weekend. No, what was the rules call with Andrew?
Andrew, ultimately
it's a shirt, right? He has to wear a shirt. I mean, he can't go. He cannot. We understand you can't just be.
Andrew, we talked about this.
I get it. He's got the DGA tattoo on the back, but
yeah, he wants to show that off. Now it was sad, but he threw into a culvert that was in circle 1 or 35 feet, so just outside. So he's right next to the basket, but he had to take a lost disc penalty because the disc was unfindable, even though it was, right there. Mm-hmm. They couldn't get to it, I guess, is the situation.
You couldn't.
So instead of him, couldn't retrieve it. So instead of him putting from 35 feet with one penalty stroke, the lost disc penalty is stroke and distance. So he's taking a penalty stroke, and he has to go back to his previous lie, which was just a terribly unlucky break, and ended up missing the cash by. He was the first.
Yeah. That's really weird because if he truly knew where the disc was and just couldn't retrieve it, even if you can see it, that is an interesting rule.
Mm-hmm. And he posted about it on Facebook. I haven't talked to him personally. It may have been a situation where I think it was everybody saw it go in there.
But you couldn't actually.
So everybody knew it was in there, but you couldn't see it.
Okay.
Like it was truly lost.
That
but
makes more sense.
How sad that, basically in circle 1, you could truly lose a disc. So it was a sad moment for him, but he had a lot of great shots. Obviously, Noah Meinsma played really well. Sorry to disrail the
please
typical talk here, but
no, talk about your players.
Everybody listening to the audio is like, what did DGA have to pay SmashBoxx to have like a 3-hour long
very
commercial?
Very little. Let me put it that way. All the other manufacturers, very little. So if you want to send your checks and just come on and talk about your players, very little.
Very little. We will fire Terry every week if you want to sponsor an entire episode.
Yeah. Terry won't care as long as he cashes checks. I mean. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, we saw Noah Meinsma in tied for 17th down there. He made the cut, which is nice, which is more than, unfortunately, we can say. Wait, Andrew made the cut.
He made the cut but missed the cash, which is a super bizarre situation. I know. You would kind of hope that everybody making the cut.
That's how it's supposed to be.
It's how it's supposed to be, but there was one slot that didn't, which is
because of a tie. Did he get in with a tie and then
could have been a tie, and there's just the money only slots down so many spots or whatever.
Because I think the PDGA rule is something along the lines of the cash is the cut line. So whatever number that is the cut line now. But obviously there's going to be those edge cases where the people make it in with ties, and then you're fighting for that. Yeah, that's yeah, because that used to be the worst the worst thing at World Championships when we were younger. We would go, and Terry, not me, because I was never that good. Terry was, a pretty decent player. So the worst thing was making the cut, but then missing the cash, because you had to play an extra round for nothing. It's just so you couldn't sleep in usually that last day, go out and enjoy and watch some players. Instead, you're fighting for cash, hoping to make up like 3 to 4 or 5 strokes on these guys at Worlds, which probably isn't happening. So that was always the worst case scenario, which is why I think the PDGA made that rule. But for certain, it says here 49 players, and Andrew was 49th and 48. The cut line apparently was 48, so he was clearly tied going into that. Well, that sucks. Sorry, Andrew.
So hearts to Mo and hearts to Andrew.
Hearts to Mo and hearts to Andrew.
He'll come back firing at Memorial. I know Noah's going to carry. Noah averaged like 10-15 golf and had a 10-75 round throughout LVC, so he's got a lot of momentum too.
I mean, not for nothing, I think Andrew has even said that, like, and we all kind of know, like, this isn't an Andrew course. Like, he's not a crusher. You need to have elite distance in order to play for the win here. Like, and Andrew is more of an accuracy thrower than a pure distance power thrower, which is obviously, shows just in scores.
He's an elite forehand crusher.
Yes.
But it is interesting because when you think about a ball golf course, I do think of that as being more conducive, especially over a 4-round event, to crushing backhands all day, every day, as opposed to crushing forehands. And I'm not, that's just kind of my gut reaction to that.
I think that's relative because, his crushing forehand compared to the field is still, everybody's forehand is behind their backhand, usually for distance. Rarely ever do you see someone who's throwing further
like
forehand than
forehand dominant.
Yeah, forehand dominant distance as opposed to backhand distance. So you need to have, 450 out here to compete, whether it's forehand or backhand, regular, accurate. It's not like Andrew can probably throw 450 forehand, but the accuracy, you're going to lose some at the end. So, yes, he will fare much better at the Memorial. He'll fare much better at Waco. This is probably a good chance for him just to kind of get the arm a little loose for the upcoming few weeks. So
I wish I had thought of that before. I was texting him a bunch of cuss words and just hey.
He probably deserved it.
Yeah. That's how I've chosen to motivate the team.
Yeah. Did you tell him he was 1 stroke away from being cut from the team? You're fortunate, that cut line also counts for the team cut line, my friend.
He's 1 stroke away from me, cutting the PDGA rules committee in half or calling somebody and making.
I thought you were going to say 1 stroke from you cutting his hair. Like that could be a punishment as well.
My beard. Yeah, exactly. Cutting his cookie allotment.
Don't do that. I got a box full of chocolate chips up there. Nom, nom, nom.
Yeah, you're probably. Alan asks, how many forehands did Eagle throw all weekend?
A handful.
Maybe 5. Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, maybe. Eagle clearly. We can go through the MPO and talk a little bit about them. Like I said, Drew Gibson and Gannon Burr, just 2 phenomenal players. Drew giving one of the best speeches after that win that I've heard anybody give in a long time. Just giving
I haven't watched it. I've heard that now twice, 2 other places. People talking about how classy and great his speech was.
I'm gonna get so much crap for this. No one would ever put Drew Gibson and the word classy together prior to last year. It's just, I'm sorry.
Get him, chat. Somebody tweet that out now. With a quote bubble.
I'm just saying, Drew has had his incidents online. Drew has had some missteps. He's been very vocal and outgoing in the past. And when I hope he's cleared out his Twitter history. That's all I'll say. But I love Drew from the last year and a half to 2 years. I think he's a different person. He's probably, I mean, again, you get that when you're probably 22, 21. You're not the smartest person in the world. You're
Right.
you're a little bit more. You don't think about the future nearly as much. And Drew, I think, over the last couple of years has really put it together in general, in life, in disc golf, in a lot of things. And I'm very happy for that. And I like Drew Gibson, so I'll say that. But anyway, Drew and Gannon, just a great battle. Kelvin Heimberg, who looked like he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with a putter the day or two prior. Just kept hitting that front of the basket no matter what he did. Suddenly decided that he remembered how to putt and shot a 13 under par to get himself up into third. If he had been able to putt that way all weekend, blah, 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 everyone could say that, he would have won. But if Drew could have played well day one, he would have crushed as well. So there's that.
So 5 people shot 13 down: Drew, Calvin, Luke Humphreys, Kevin, and Thomas Gilbert. That's and Adam Hammies actually was 12 down with a bogey. Those are amazing rounds.
Yeah, those are phenomenal rounds, definitely. It's exciting to see Kevin Jones with that 13 down, getting back in position. His name, we saw him on coverage, but we didn't talk much about him. He wasn't in contention for the win. It felt like he was just shooting well, but there's a lot of players shooting well. Tristan, Adam, Scott Withers, who sneaky, if you're a skip ace person, hopefully you picked up Withers over the last couple weeks if he wasn't drafted, because that guy he's not even sneaky good. He's just good.
I don't know anything about Scott Withers.
Scott Withers is a North Oregon. I was going to say Northeast. Yeah, Northeast player, but that's Northwest. So that's why I'm glad I didn't say Northeast originally, because he's Northwest. Yeah. I knew he was in Oregon. It was where Oregon was that really screwed me up. He's from the Northwestern United States up in Oregon, and he's just really, he's like 1036 rated or something ridiculous.
Wow.
He's always been a regional, really, really good regional player, and has never really made it out on tour. And I think that's going to change, because he's in his mid-30s, 34 or 35. If he goes out on tour, he's going to be one of those guys that you just have to watch out for, because so consistent, such a great player.
He's the guy that all the 1,000 rated players within 50 miles of him are really encouraging to go tour. Like, bro, yes. Like, no, you should leave.
Definitely go on tour. Yeah, we
take this on the road. Like, but seriously, leave.
Stop. Yeah. No, don't worry about that B tier. Don't worry about our A tier.
Yeah. It's just a B. We'll watch these are small potatoes.
This is not the DGPT. Just go. Here. Do you need some gas money?
And he's like, I feel like maybe you're no. It's not about us. No, of course not. We want the best for you. Come on, Scott.
So, Nate W. I'm sorry. I do say Oregon. It's Oregon. It's like 2 words. Oregon, whatever it's pronounced. Oregon. Sorry, force a habit. Just blame my Midwest accent. And I think there's an Oregon, Wisconsin, if I'm correct. Hold on, I'm gonna quickly look that up here. Oregon.
Oh, we found one. Nate.
Yes.
Nate.
Yes.
You kind of want him to leave, though, huh? You were happy he went to LVC. You're kind of hoping he stays. It's kind of like the cat's away. Yep. Nate's one of the mice that are playing right now that Scott Withers is touring.
Yeah, I'd be curious, and I don't know this, Nate. If I ever make it to Oregon, Wisconsin, I'm gonna ask the locals how they pronounce it. So, but anyway, Scotty Withers, just a great player. So everyone has to look out for him. Ricky, who 7 strokes back, just had a rough, as I'm going to put it in quotes, round or two to keep him out of contention. But ultimately, as we can't all be Katrina Allen and just be good with their plastic right away. So we're gonna, we're gonna chalk that up to some learning experiences. Even he had said that he took this as a great opportunity to be able to figure out what he does and doesn't want in his bag and what he needs to put back in his bag. So
I won speaking of Drew's putting event, I won a Ricky harp at it.
Nice.
in a raffle. It was a funny moment for me because I'm like, what am I going to do with this? And we'll never know what I did with it.
No one will ever know. No one will ever know. It's
I sold it.
I figured it was like a kitchen plate now.
I threw it away.
Just
No, come on. I would never. I would, but I would never.
That would no. So, yeah, there's your top 10. Oh, I'm sorry. Thomas Gilbert tied with Luke Sampson. There's your top 10 for MPO. It's going to be a fun year. Thomas Gilbert, the only foreign MPO player from America's hat, Canada. So it's
Chantel Budinsky was down from Canada as well, playing on the FPO side.
Oh yeah,
she is a friend of mine. She throws a few DGA discs quite well, but she has the Miss Frisbee's YouTube channel, so I thought that was cool to see her taking the trek down from. I'm not actually sure what province she's from. What's the one that's right above like Detroit? One of those northeastern or northwestern, things up there.
Saskatchewan. Just make them up. Just make up those things. It's like when you ask someone from the East Coast, ask them to draw the Midwest. Show me where Wisconsin, Michigan, and Minnesota are, and see how many of them get it right.
Oh, that would be so. I am so bad spatially, which applies to like directions, how to get to places, cardinal directions, whether I'm looking northeast. But if I had to draw a map of the U.S., it would be an embarrassing experience. I'm not afraid to admit that.
Oh, I think I would do a darn good job.
I'll bet you would. You seem the type.
I think I would. There's a lot of things I do very poorly. Drawing the United States wouldn't be one of them. So, all right. So there's your LVC wrap up. We talked FPO, we talked media, we talked MPO. Ultimately, we talked it all. And I heard next year they're going to possibly look at doing 2 courses, which I think will be a boon for the field and the event. I don't think this event really needs to have 3 courses. I think you could probably make 2 really awesome courses on this property and restrict some of the players that are coming in. Make it 2 separate weekends between all the unwashed masses and the Pro Tour.
I think you could do that without telling anyone, players included, and nobody would ever know. Just cut one of them, and then like 3 years from now, somebody will be like, didn't this used to be a 3-course event? And they're like, I don't think so. I think this is the way it's always been.
No, I think I said it last week when I had talked about how these holes just all blur together for me. And it's really funny because when I see them as I'm cutting the show, I recognize them. Like I never the final course they played was the Innova course. Hole 1 on the mound. That's pretty memorable. Hole 2 through the gap. After that, I'm lost. I actually literally have to look at a map. But then you think about hole 18. And
you lost me at 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's the triple island.
Oh yeah. Three is the one where everyone throws the hyzer around the tree because it's on like a little. I don't want to say a peninsula, but there's water all to the left. And then after that, I get lost. I literally have to start looking at maps to remember holes there. Yeah. Even after looking at the map on hole 4, I don't remember that. And I think that you could really make some better, more memorable holes out there, maybe with the land that they have.
Sure.
Now, true or false, I heard from Terry Miller during the broadcast that Katrina threw out of bounds and someone stopped it from going out of bounds. Did you not pay somebody to stand on the sidelines for all of her throws?
That was in the live chat that last day. I was confessing, letting people know that, all right, listen, here's the deal. It was me. And you would not believe how I had to contort myself You know, because I was headed a certain direction. It took a weird skip. I had to do a triple backflip maneuver to kick it back in.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah. No, I had heard that, though. Yeah, on the commentary. We didn't really ever get a good camera angle of it to see what had happened, but it could have turned into one of those Paul Macbeth's dog situations. Do you remember that from like 3 years ago?
I do, from the Memorial. Yeah,
that's right. It was Memorial.
It was the Memorial. I think it was like was that hole 1 at the time or hole 18? I forget. I can picture the hole, but I don't think they use that hole anymore either.
I thought it was in the middle of the round.
They've moved those holes around. I just remember it had the OB along the sidewalk right over by Duke's, just on the other side of the pond, and everyone threw the big hyzer around. And this is a discussion that, you know, I think I had with some of the Ulta World guys about spectators and how close they should be to OB and to players and to fairways. And I kind of, I take it, I think, a different perspective than, or maybe a different opinion than a lot of people who say, you know, we really need to be careful about these spectators and how close they get and interfering. And I say, no, I'm sorry. If you're, what I want to see is an OB line. If there's an OB line, spectators should be about 2 to 3 feet off of that. I don't want a spectator to stop a disc from sliding out of bounds or like bumping up and rolling and falling out of bounds. But beyond that, if a player chooses to throw over an OB, at that point, you're taking the risk of something happening to your disc. Either someone could stop it from skipping back in bounds, someone can possibly stop it from skipping out of bounds. It's a crapshoot for me at that point, at least. I know a lot of people differ in their opinion, and they're wrong, but I respect their opinion.
Obviously,
I think part of the allure of our game is kind of having everybody around, and that's going to change. We're going to put, you know, bleachers in somewhere, and it's going to be much more golf-like. But, you know, even golf fans line fairways. They don't have so many out of bounds like we do on these holes.
It's a super common occurrence for an off-track golf ball to bounce off something or someone and come back into play. It's definitely, and my thing with the spectators and out of bounds is it hurts as much as it helps. Mm-hmm. You know, like you're going to see somebody come from inbounds heading out of bounds and bounce back in fair. You're going to see somebody like what you were describing trying to cover OB and come back in. They're going to get stopped and never make it back in. Yeah. And it's just, it's just an added danger when you try and play around out of bounds or a crazy, you know, frankly, exciting thing that can happen in those moments.
We should really give people those long disc retrievers with butterfly nets. And if you can catch the disc in the air,
paddles, like racquetball rackets.
If you can, if you're tall enough, you can swat discs down. That's fine. Or as they do in baseball, if you're out of bounds and you grab the disc, it's yours.
Yeah, it's kind of a curling idea, isn't it? Like you're going to have 2 other team members downfield, and you throw and you just call, you know, where they should try and bat it to.
Yeah. So ultimately, I think that I don't think anything's going to change. I don't think we're going to see anything different about that. There always can be better spectator control at these events, and we're all learning and we're getting better at it. The royal we, as in the sport, because I don't do any of that, so I'm not going to make any claims that I do. But it's definitely something to think about when it comes to spectator interference or anything like that. I just don't want to see a spectator stop something that's very close to OB. I treat them almost like a lake or a pond where you don't want to make the OB the actual water line. You want to bring it in just a little bit so that it's very distinct and clear as to where the OB is. And I feel that way about spectators too, that they should all be in the water. So,
what's the stupidest argument you've seen floating around the internet lately and when it comes to disc golf, Johnny? Or maybe even one that has some...
It's a great question.
Nice headphones, by the way.
Thank you.
Great minds.
I mean, there's all the regular arguments. I mean, there's every time anyone makes a comment about live or post-production, someone has to chime in with their opinion, whether it's for or against. It just feels like, someone could literally say, oh, hey, that was a really beautiful shot that so-and-so had, and someone has to chime in on the other side and be like, yeah, well, it was better over here. I have learned to ignore those these days. But really stupid opinions, I haven't, I don't know, message board? Have you heard or seen any really bad takes? How about you, Tyler?
They're always out there. They're always out there. I'm just kind of wondering, what are the recent ones? I feel like I've seen some conversation about the putting circle a lot more over this off season than I have before. I know it's always something people always talk about and chat about. There's a couple things that I like and a couple things that I don't. What was it? I was interviewing Trevor last Friday, and he said something about, oh no, it was when we were hanging out in Discord. He said somebody's talking about not allowing follow-throughs on the fairway.
Oh, yeah, that's...
So like after your tee shot, you don't, no longer on the entire rest of the hole after the tee shot, there's a faction of people who believe it would be beneficial to, make you have balance or not have a follow-through after that. And I'm like, how could you even...
I mean, you'd have to say that, you have to maintain. You cannot fall in front of the disc on a follow through. But I feel that then if you're going to do it in the fairway, might as well do it on the tee.
Yeah.
Just
everywhere.
Yeah, you just have to. If you want to, quote unquote, go forward, like you have to maintain your balance on the tee pad or something dumb like that. Like, cool, you can't fall off the tee pad. Otherwise, what's the point of having the end of the tee pad? Oh, well, the disc was out of my hand. Then why not further down the fairway? That's I don't know. There's always this. Yeah, there's always the circle 1, circle 2 argument of step putts falling forward. So
I kind of like that one. If you're going where I think you're going, where it's like moved circle 1 all the way back out to the edge of circle 2, like that all just becomes circle 1. Obviously, there's different variations on it.
Sure. Again, if the PDGA decided they were going to make that change, I'd just be like, oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah. I don't have a strong opinion about it. The one thing I will say is that it's way harder to determine circle 2 than it is to circle 1. Maybe that's a change. Maybe this sounds stupid, but maybe that's a change you just make for the Pro Tour and majors on courses where that your crew is going to mark out those circles as opposed to your local seat.
It's physically more difficult.
It's physically to determine, instead of 10 paces, so to speak, 20 paces. You're like, am I at 55 or 68? I don't know. Like, as I can, and maybe that we would get better at that because I can really virtually tell if I'm at right around the circle. I don't think I could tell if I'm around circle 2. I just don't have that keen eye yet. But maybe that would change with a new group of people as we did it.
If you missed it, then you would know that you were outside circle 2 at least. So you could kind of back into knowing where you were after the result of your putt.
So I think there's, definitely. I mean, and then again, everybody has rangefinders these days. So you can just range find from 62 feet and figure out where you're at. Maybe we do have a slightly separate set of rules for Pro Tour events versus your standard A tier, B tier, C tier, where you don't have the crew that's going to be able to mark out a circle 1 and a circle 2, all the OB lines, flags and flanners, and all those other things. So I don't know. So I don't know. We're dipping into waters again that we've talked about before here. I just don't like rules that are hard to enforce. Falling putts or step putts, nobody's ever going to call them because you can't be 100% sure, and nobody's 100% sure if that foot was slightly down on the ground when they released it, or if their feet were, in the air and their hand was still on the disc, even though they were like halfway through their putting motion. It's all 2 split second. Humanly, you cannot see it. So that's why I don't like the rule in general, because I think it's vague and it's not enforceable. I would rather see jump putts treated in the rule book more like an NBA three-pointer. Did your feet start behind the line? Cool. After that, as long as you jumped from behind your point, I don't care when you release the disc. I don't care if it's, way up in the air or if it's almost at the ground, because I tell you what, after that jump, you're losing a lot of body control. But if you can time that to get the furthest distance, if we have, I was trying to think of a great long jumper in the past, and I was drawing a blank. A decathlete or something. If you can jump 12 feet from your disc and be able to putt it, I don't care. As long as you let go of the disc before your feet hit the ground. But that's a lot of that's tough. That's tough. So that's always the discussion, the argument.
I feel like I'm in the minority, and especially now that Trevor's a buddy of mine who is like Mr. Step Putt. I mean, he is absolutely so good at that.
It's becoming very popular.
Well within the rules, and he is more or less pioneered, he's one of the pioneers of the use of it. But I think it's I love what you're saying about the subjectivity. I love step putts as a tool, but inside the circle it seems so messy, or not. Obviously, it's not inside the circle, but like that circle 2 range. And I think what you're saying about the subjectivity kind of hits it on the head for me. Like, if you just kind of move circle 1 back, then that kind of takes care of itself. But sure. I've always thought in the back of my head, like, it's kind of bizarre that we let people advance past their lie and then throw it when they're putting.
I can see that argument. Definitely. I can see that discussion point.
I feel like that's in the minority. I feel like most people either love it or are totally fine with, step putts and jump putts. Then
I use them. I'm a jump putter from like probably 60 or 55 out until about 300 feet. So until I need to start throwing my putters the traditional way to get that extra distance. I mean, wherever that may be. I told you I'm not good with distances. Yeah. So Alan Risley says that he says, "Oh, Johnny, people used to do that back in the day, and it was terrible." I think he means my jumping idea of jumping forward from your lie and trying to throw it in the basket from there.
Well, we are way into the weeds now, but obviously you can't do that in either of the circles. But can you do that in the fairway? Like, could you sprint and take off from behind your marker and release it?
No, because the disc has to be out of your hand while you're maintaining technically a point of
contact.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. I was like,
balance,
why am I not able to think of the rule refuting this right now? Yeah, you have to have a point of contact. Yeah, that's right.
So,
wow, I don't know. We got that figured out.
Yep. All right, we solved it. I will let me just rewrite the rules real quick. I will send an email. They'll be changed.
I'll text Mike Downs. Yep. Okay. Got it. Easy.
All right, Tyler. What else did we see in the world of disc golf this week? We were talking a little bit before the show, and we mentioned we saw the engineer with the throw-in arm thing.
Yes. The YouTube channel Stuff Made Here.
Stuff Made Here. That's it. I'm not as familiar. It seems very much like an Adam, the guy from MythBusters. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on his last name.
Savage.
Adam Savage. Thank you. Adam Savage type of channel, which I was not familiar with. I know Adam Savage, obviously, but that very much type of machinery and actually making things. And it looked like he was able to create something that whipped a disc very fast and hard, but not so great with the flight characteristics.
Yeah, that channel is fascinating because that man is truly a genius. He's so multi-talented in so many different disciplines, creatively. And it's like, imagine if MythBusters was way more technically advanced and their entire crew of 20 people was all in just one guy, and he did it all in his basement. And that's that YouTube channel. And wow. I'm not exaggerating, honestly. The stuff that he does with robotics and, cameras and just all this advanced machining and construction is like truly mind-blowing. So it was really exciting to see him devoting 2 months, I think he said, to this disc golf project. And obviously the disc golf throwing machine has been
he a player as well?
For decades. It seems like he's a pandemic golfer from I'm reading between the lines a little bit, but he says he's recently taken it up, and then just watching him throw a couple times, I could see him being a first-year player. But he could improve on that model. He could make prototype number 2, and then this time next year we could be talking about, the overhaul of the flight rating system.
Yeah, how would that? I mean, I have to wonder, what would that do? Would people and manufacturers still care? Would that become a standard if you created a very solid replication of an arm throw? Because a lot of people I saw complaints were like, oh, his machine was rounding, and there was obviously no spin, so it was less gyroscopic. All those things. Would we get, if I could go in my backyard right now and make a disc throwing machine that threw a disc, we'll just say 450 feet. What I have to wonder, what would that do to flight ratings if the PDGA would invest in that, or another company, and we would get standards? Would we really see a standard? And I'm going to slaughter disc numbers because I don't know them. I've never cared about them. But is your 12-speed Innova disc the same as an 11-speed Discraft disc, or vice versa?
Well, we know that now. Even without the machine to tell, anybody who's played for a few years can take a handful of discs from different manufacturers out and tell, like, okay, there's general guidelines, but there's a lot of variance in the 4 categories of numbers. And so what I wanted to say about Stuff Made Here, his project, was that everybody was talking about he needed to release it on more hyzer, and there wasn't enough spin on it and everything. I'm like, at the end, he was flipping every single disc into rollers, and he had several that he was throwing in the upper 500s of feet. So that's a super successful test, because like you said, we don't need it. He wants it to go as far as possible, but we don't need it to go farther than that. We need a machine that will consistently throw discs 500 feet and less.
Well, I don't even know if you necessarily need the distance. What we really need is a consistent speed for a quote unquote arm speed. Like, take a look at what your average pro's arm speed is, whether it's 60 or 70 miles an hour or 75. I forget what Simon was peaking out at, mid 80s, upper 80s or something.
Yeah, he was trying to beat 86 miles an hour, I think. That was in the video. He took a clip from Simon's speed gun challenge, and I think it was, mid 80s, and he did beat that by a few.
And maybe we set some consistent speeds. Like, we have a 30 mile an hour speed, a 50 mile an hour speed, and a 70 mile an hour speed. You take plastic, different discs, and put them at each one, because we know that throwing a putter at 78 miles an hour or 70 miles an hour is going to do something different than we're throwing it at 30 miles an hour. And if you can maintain a similar level of speed, it's really funny, because it gave me watching his throw, and I kind of skipped through the video because I wasn't going to watch the full 40 minutes or whatever it was. So I bounced through with my skip button to get to him actually throwing. It reminded me, his throw reminded me a lot of my throw when I first started playing, coming around like that with like putters and drivers and not putting enough spin on him and watching him just flip over. I couldn't throw a putter to save my life for like 2 years. I had to throw something more stable, because every time I threw a putter, it just flipped over on me. And I remember Terry and other people being like, what are you doing that's so bad that you can't even throw a putter 120 feet or 100 without flipping it over? And I didn't know at the time. And I think, honestly, I just wasn't putting enough spin and torque in it. My wrist and everything was so stiff that it was just not getting enough rotation. And now I can throw them 130 feet. So there. Yeah.
Well, you can jump putt them 130 feet.
I can jump putt.
Throw.
That's different. Right. That's different. Yeah. So it would be really interesting. And I've said, I've made this joke for a long time, that every player wants, every Every player wants this machine. Every casual viewer wants a machine that can throw consistently. And the people who don't want it are the manufacturers, because nobody really wants to probably be honest, 100% honest with what they're putting out there. Because if tomorrow I release a 15-speed disc, I've got the fastest disc on the market. Do I? A lot of that might skew everybody, not everybody, but a little bit of marketing. But maybe the manufacturers do, and they don't know it yet. We'll see.
It's a tough conversation to have as a representative of manufacturer, but I can tell you that you are off on that, at least. Like we want that.
Okay, yeah. I'm sure every manufacturer has had this discussion about trying to replicate something to get, because even if it's just consistent flight numbers within your company, as opposed to going out there and being like, well, we had someone throw it 500 times and it's got this glide and this fade, and so we feel like we're pretty close. We may be a little bit fudging some numbers, but it's got to be, because as we've seen with manufacturers, sometimes a disc comes out and it magically fits into the one spot that maybe they don't have maybe they had the 7501 and a 7503. This one happens to fit to the 7502, and I don't even know if those are real numbers, honestly. Well, if they're, square roots, I'm not sure.
There's the conversation about, because if you're a conspiracy theorist, you're like, well, then you probably think no manufacturer would want this, because what happens if there's, a run that doesn't come out quite the same, a run of, that one driver everybody likes to poke fun of that doesn't fly like all the other ones. And I'm like, I think we all get it, that it's an incredibly, you're making espresso. It's like 100 variables and it's super pressurized and it all happens in an instant. So it's like insanely difficult to get just 100% consistent every single time, all day, every day. So if there's a small amount of variance from run to run, my point of view is that that's embraced with a machine like this, because you have like it's the baseline number for the run is more or less where it starts out, and then if a certain plastic type causes that disc to be a little bit more overstable, it gets just like a plus 0.5 from that disc's normal rating or whatever, and so you can these are actually -2s,
that would be,
and everybody's basing that off the original launch or something. And that's just one way you could do it. Obviously the machine would kind of dictate to us what you needed to do.
See, and I don't even know if a machine like that would even really help, now that I think about it, because we see, as you said, so many different runs of plastic, so many different runs of color at times, as people have said, has made a difference, whether it's in the feel or whatnot. Like if DGA decides to release, hey, we've got this hurricane and in this special plastic, do you really go and retest it, or is it just, this was a run we're doing, like, or do you just assume it's the same even if it's not? And do you have to? This is always what I kind of chuckle at, as we know, with whoever that manufacturer is that you hinted at with the drivers that seem to be kind of relatively inconsistent. I don't know who you're talking about, but if I were, in theory, should each one of those be submitted to a PDGA for testing, or is
and that's where I don't think anybody.
It's very squishy. Our rules are very squishy.
But I don't think that's the negative, though.
I don't think
that's
it is either.
Where I go.
I don't think it is
that,
either.
I'm like, no, it's not a new mold. It's a new run, and new molds have been put up in the interim with thousands of discs run, a different way. And now we're putting this mold back up again, and the blend, and trying to get super close. But it's going to come out, and to the advanced player, they're going to tell it's going to be 10% less stable than the previous run. I'm just like, there's no negative in that. That's just where you run those discs through the machine and you stamp them. These are a -10%, and then you release them like that, and the people that want to buy a slightly less stable version of the whatever, but then we know, then everybody knows exactly what they're buying. we're already kind of doing that. As
people tend to know.
Like,
the community
people
tends
get their
to know.
hands on them. Everybody starts throwing them. And how do these compare to the 2019 Tour Series? And what about the SP Flex, whatever? So that's already kind of intuitively happening. But how cool would it be to have us be the ones that pronounce?
I still don't think there'd be. I still don't think there'd be trust. I think there's too many. There's too much. Because I guarantee you, if you put, this blend of plastic we find tends to be 10% more stable, I think you're still going to get communities to be like, well, I think it's closer to 15. Honestly, guys,
but then we're like, no, look, and we show them the footage from the machine, where it's like showing the data.
Tyler, but what run is that? And just because you made this run on on a 60-degree day, were those the runs that you made it on the 80-degree day? That maybe there's a little bit of difference in the that all I'm saying is that there's a lot. Like you said, there's a lot of variables, and as cool as a machine like that would be, I still don't know how trusting the community would be with all the variations. But I'll tell you what, I want to see it. I want to see us try that world.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. It's gonna happen, frankly. It's just a matter.
Someone's gonna come. Someone's gonna come up with it at some point. Someone's going to do it. So, and I hope I make $1 million off of it. I don't know how, but I hope I do.
The disc golf meteoric rise over the last 2 years has sped up. You think so? Nobody wants to spend tens of thousands of dollars on disc golf technology.
For zero, zero little return.
A few years ago, because disc golf is a cult hobby, and it's your brother-in-law plays it, right? Like that's or I guess that's an exaggeration of a vibe from a decade ago, and now it's like multi-million-dollar deals and giant events with ticketed fans and live broadcasts, and it's as we continue to grow, then it's going to be a lot of other companies coming in and like wanting to.
I think that would be cool. Let's make lots of money, Tyler. How do we do that?
Well, you got to work for DGA. I am looking for an assistant on the social media side. I told you I'm not able to keep up. How good are you at reposting Instagram posts?
Not great. I have an Instagram account.
Okay.
But I've never made an Instagram post, I don't think.
You've never made... Wow, okay.
I don't believe I have.
This interview is not going well.
And let me tell you about my TikTok skills today.
Today.
Literally today.
It started today?
I downloaded TikTok. I think I talked about this like a year or two ago when it was getting
go, guys.
Really
go
popular.
Find him.
Okay. And Jonathan. I surfed through TikTok, and it was a bunch of teenagers dancing.
Oh, no. Careful. There's memes about what you're doing right now.
I'm sure
go ahead.
I'm sure there are.
We'll tell you. I'll tell you about them in a second.
I'm sure there are. And so after about 2 days of being like, okay, none of this content interests me, I did a search for some disc golf. So I never created an account on TikTok. So I just used whatever free.
Is this you?
No, I can't grow that beard.
His name is Jonathan Van Derzen.
Awkward. He doesn't look like. Hold on, I gotta turn this way.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, no. Yeah, you turned a little bit, and it just like happened. You just kind of.
Is that person a meme? So anyway, like
it's
I never
the same picture.
I never created an account, and I surfed through, and somebody said, "Oh yeah, you have to create an account for it in order to really get in and learn your settings. Otherwise, you're just going to get the most popular stuff, and the most popular stuff is just people dancing." And then the occasional trick shot video I saw of like a basketball trick shot. And so I gave up on the platform. Well,
it does not take long. It takes like 1 day, 2 days of it holding down on the screen, not interested, or you heart the thing you are interested in. It's so smart.
Come to today.
Okay.
Well, wait, let's start yesterday. Yesterday, I found a video of the people who moved into our old house, a TikTok video. They own a photography business, and so they were like, "Oh, hey, check us out. We are remodeling this house to put our photography studio in it." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I wonder if they're going to do that in the basement where I had my studio." They weren't. They were doing it in the upstairs where I had the bedroom. So I watched it, and it was on a web page on TikTok. And I was like, "Okay, well, I want to know." And they painted everything really dark. like dark walls, dark trim.
Oh, yeah.
Photography stuff. So I was like, all right. I was like, I wonder what people think about that, because I don't love it. It's my old house, but I have no say in it anymore. So I was like, I wonder what the comments are on this. So I downloaded TikTok, and I signed in for the first time ever using, I think, my Apple account, so that it didn't have my email address, because I'm super sketchy that way.
Yeah.
I couldn't find a way to search. I went to the Discover tab. It gave me a lot of different things to look, but there was no button or nothing that actually let me do a search. There was no magnifying glass. There was nothing. I couldn't look for a specific account.
Okay, so you're looking down here.
No, I hit the I hit that button in the middle.
Yeah. But look, wait. Look up here.
Well, no,
it's crazy.
I swear to God, Tyler, that wasn't in mine.
Sure,
I deleted the app. So after it frustrated me because when I hit discover and I couldn't like search for someone's thing, I was like, I'm too old for this now. I'm too dumb. I'm going to delete the app now, and I deleted the app. I gave it like 5 minutes of my life, and at that point,
you put in your report no search feature, and the developers are like, there is a giant magnifying glass in the top screen. We put it there for this guy.
I even did a search online on how to look for someone's account, and they said push the discover button and search from that page. And I was like,
see, you got bad info.
And it was from their website. It was from TikTok's website. I got all frustrated. I got all frustrated. So I just gave up like an old man. I was like, I'm done. I shook my hand to the clouds, walked into Moe's bar, turned around, walked out, and I was done. I figured that's about what I need TikTok for. So I will not
thanks for
be
coming
your
in
assistant
today.
Yeah, no problem. It's I'll be waiting for your call. I'll be waiting for your call. Tim Court says, I'm 57 and watch TikTok. JBD seems older than me. I'm not saying that lately all I've watched on YouTube are woodworking videos, but watched a lot. I might be old. And I watch a lot of This Old House because I love that show.
Tell me you're old without telling me.
Yeah, tell me you're old without telling me.
You're like, just check out my YouTube history.
Yes. So, yes. Anyway, now that we've discussed how old I am.
The only other big happening in terms of the disc golf haps was the MVP Steve Dodge.
Yeah, the big MVP announcement.
Let's do it in the after show. Are we doing an after show?
Yeah, let's do an after show. We'll talk about the Steve Dodge announcement. Steve Dodge is going to be our guest next week, too, by the way. So.
Well, maybe you don't want to get too into it, but really the main thing that I wanted to talk about with the Steve Dodge announcement was to segue into a conversation about disc golf advertising.
Let's do it.
Companies starting to put out comedic commercials.
Who does that?
Just more TV-esque commercials in general. That's the conversation I want to have in the after show.
All right, let's do it. So, this was podcast episode 392.
After show.
No, not yet, Tyler. Not yet. We have to wait. We have to wait till we come back.
I am so sorry.
I know. Terry Miller, we missed you. Not really, because I have Tyler Brickley, so I don't need you. It even says so on the bottom. Crossed out your name. I want to thank everybody who joined us. I want to thank Katrina Allen, who definitely is probably in bed right now. And she's on, Oh, yeah.
You're welcome.
And I'd love to, I want to thank Drew Gibson for joining us earlier today. If you missed it, go back and re-listen to the show. You'll catch him at some point. Just listen. Keep listening until you get him. And I want to thank Tyler Brickley for joining me here on the regular show. We're going to stay tuned. We'll stand down for a second. It might be about maybe a minute and a half while I go get a drink of water. And we'll come back with a little after show where we're going to talk disc golf advertising. So, I'm your host, John Van Dersen, and thank you for, what does he say, stepping inside the SmashBoxx.
Thank you, and good night. We'll see you next time. When you step inside the SmashBoxx.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Smashbox Podcast Episode 392, After Show!
After Show!
Nailed it.
Gosh,
you nailed it,
dang
Tyler.
It. Ugh, I've been waiting on that all night.
I know.
Freaking
I got myself some water. Told you I was going to go
frustrated.
do that. I know. Well, you'll never get another chance.
I believe it. I was messaging over the break, and I just should have disclaimed in the beginning show. We are all 100% aware of what a poor substitute for Terry I am. And I actually don't even have any,
I don't believe that.
identity crises because of that. I still feel fine about myself. I just believe that's a quantifiable fact because Terry is such a goat. I'm fine, but anybody would be a poor substitute for Terry because... And I also mentioned how he is the king of verbal transitions. Somebody needs to go back for a couple years and every one of Terry's calls where he takes what the other person says and says, well, and speaking of cats out of the bag, let's go back to Katrina on hole number 3, and he does that stuff all the time. And every time he does it, I'm like, I see you, Terry.
So, here's a funny thing. I re-downloaded TikTok just now.
Friend me.
No, I'm not, because I'm going to remove it.
Search for me. Try and search for my account.
I click on the Discover tab, and it looks completely different than what I had last time. It has a search feature.
Sure, it does.
It has an ad, which it didn't have before. that scrolling ad at the top wasn't there before.
Oh yeah, so, there is a search feature.
Yeah, that was not
on
there.
Not on the Discover tab.
Yeah, if you click on Discover, well, yeah, there's search right there at the top, Tyler.
Yeah,
it's probably blown out. You can't see it. Yeah, so however I signed up this morning, whatever account, the secret Apple account that I used that doesn't give them my email address or something, it didn't like that, and it didn't let me search. I wonder if it wasn't really signed an account, so it just said you don't get to do this stuff.
Comedy.
I was upset. All right, so cool.
Golf,
so now I can highlight that.
Rocket League, disc golf, comedy.
So
disc golf. Don't know. Add disc golf, comedy. FPV drone racing. I'm giving you a preview of what my feed is actually like.
Oh,
comedy,
yeah,
videography stuff. It's actually just I'm going out on a limb here. It's the best social media app right now.
Really?
For me.
Oh, for you?
It's a delight. My wife is super into it as well. In fact, during this interview has already sent me a TikTok video that I need to watch.
Yeah, I just can't get into it. I don't know.
Terry was riding a Segway before it was invented. And speaking of Segways, and then he was the one to introduce them in the 90s.
So you wanted to talk
SSSJ, and for some reason, instead of saying TikTok last time, it said calendar. But there wasn't a Discover tab, and there was no search feature. I don't know. I drank a little bit. Who knows?
I was drinking at work this morning. No, I don't understand what happened there. So, because it didn't have those features for me when I logged in. But again, maybe because I skipped through some other steps or something. Because this time it actually asked me to. What I didn't like is that I signed in with my Apple account, and it still asked me to create a username. Shouldn't it just use my username? Because Apple.
No, that's actually a privacy benefit to you. They're giving you an extra layer of
security, for sure. Yeah, definitely the TikTok algorithm is great. I've heard nothing but I don't say good things, but things that say that it really does nail down what you want. But I can't imagine that I'm going to say this because I'm old. I can't imagine it has really much that I want to see.
Man.
I don't know. I don't know.
Like, remember back before the second time you won the lottery?
Yeah. I don't know. I also feel that way about Instagram. I barely go through Instagram. Like Terry makes fun of me because how I go through Instagram. I follow almost every pro I can find Instagram so I can kind of keep up with them. Yeah. And I rarely, when I open the Instagram app, I rarely scroll down. There's the big buttons there's the buttons at the top I hit, and I go through those. If it's not in there, I don't see it.
I'd actually be curious to know how many people do that now, because and same with Facebook. I'm like, I never scroll Facebook or Instagram's main feed. Like,
I scroll Facebook's main feed. In fact, I get upset.
I was going to say, that's a scary place.
It is. And I get upset that Facebook is trying to shove whatever, it's probably Instagram, at me on the top with all the people. And I'm like, no, if I wanted that, I'd go to Instagram. I'm not here for that. Yeah, I'm here for wonderful political takes from my family and the smartest disc golfers on the planet.
Oh, man. Yeah. No, Facebook for me is I'm on there and I'm communicating. Like, it is almost 100% a communications platform. So I'm responding to comments for DGA things and then on my own stuff. And but I do very little consuming on Facebook. And Instagram, I still find it enjoyable to swipe through and pick people's Insta stories that you want to look at, but I never scroll the main feed there. But TikTok is one that is it just knows me now, and my wife's is totally different, which is hilarious, and each of us have tried scrolling each other's and like, this interests you, like, this is so boring to me.
I'm afraid of what it might say about me.
Woodworking video.
That's
woodworking video.
It's what it's. Yeah, I would 100% be down with that. So Tyler, you're doing ads. Are you putting them on TikTok? Or probably.
I'm making. We actually do have DGA does have a TikTok account, and I'm doing content on there. It's a slightly lower priority, and it's more of a hobby project for me. But no, I'm on there. I do believe there's so many pandemic golfers, right, who started in the last 24 months, and a lot of them are, 16 to 25 years old, and that's the place to be. I'm one of the old people now on TikTok, which is pre midlife crisis for me, but trying to do my best.
Good luck with that. I just have come to realize that, TikTok will be dead in 4 or 5 years. Because
that's what they said about Instagram. That is literally what they said about Instagram.
And Instagram is probably, how many 16-year-olds are using Instagram? Or are they all using TikTok?
But what do you mean dead, though? I mean, Instagram's like a decade old.
For sure. I mean, it's not going away. Just like Facebook isn't going away. But Facebook is dead to anyone that's under 25. Like, they have a Facebook account probably, but they use it to log into crap. Like, just, there's a new social media because, as we know, kids don't want to be on what the last generation was on. They just want their own thing. Once the crowd that's on TikTok right now hits the ages of about 25, whoever's turning 16 and 17, they don't want to be with those old people. Look at those old 25-year-olds. They're going to find someone's going to come up with a different format and something new. And it's going to be people like you and your age. They're going to be like, no, TikTok is still relevant. and it is, because that's where a lot of advertisers will go, because that's where a lot of people, but that's not where that key demographic that everybody wants is going to be, because they don't want to be part of that. Like, they need their own thing. I feel like every generation, and I say generation in quotes because our internet generations are much tighter, I feel, they all want their own thing. That's how it was.
That's a really good perspective on it.
So, and I feel old saying that, because I know that I have, I could probably find a use for TikTok. I would never post, never, not a million years would you ever catch me posting, but I could see probably finding some information, maybe some cool trick shot disc golf videos. But I hate trick shot videos in general, so I'd probably just end up watching them. I don't know. So
Twitter, you get some interesting resurgences, though.
I love
Twitter has. I feel like I've seen it maybe 5 years ago. Twitter kind of makes this little mini comeback, and was it 5? I feel like it might have even been less than that. A few years ago, I feel like there's a Twitter boom, and it never really went away, as you say, but it does kind of come in and out of the public eye. Mm-hmm. But you're absolutely right. It'd be interesting to get like an actual sociologist in on this conversation, because I'll bet in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, it just took on different forms, where each generation, they had their own their own thing, their own meeting place, or their own habits and customs, and it's fascinating now that it's also digital.
Yeah, I mean, you're just looking at digital playgrounds, digital bars, whatever you want to call them, like just digital hangouts, and every generation
meeting
I think
places
just feels like they have to have their own, and it's again, old man screaming at the clouds.
Literally.
Yeah, no, but I like Twitter because it is, I really like the disc golf community that's on Twitter. And so that's part of it. And I think there's a lot of really good interaction. That's the one thing about Instagram and TikTok. I feel like there's almost zero interaction, and that's by design. It feels like they're almost strictly
consumer.
Yeah. You can make something, but there's never cool, I can like that, I can heart it, maybe I can make a comment, but I would never expect a conversation to happen on Instagram or TikTok that like I would with Twitter. Like, at least with Twitter, you can kind of start a thread and go back and forth and talk and this and that. I get a little bit more out of that than just looky at me. I don't know. I feel I've got a 12-year-old son, and I'm glad he's not on any social media yet. So, and I don't know. I even asked him, like, you surf TikTok ever? And he's like, no, I don't look at that. And I'm like, oh, I wonder what you're going to do. Like, what's the social media app that's going to hook him? What's the app that's going to hook him? He's 12 years old. Hopefully none, but I'm sure there will be.
Out of nowhere, Zanga is back in 2025, and your son is the king of it.
You
had a Zanga. Come on. That one was right before me. You had a blog spot.
Yes.
You had seven blog spots.
I had Blogspot, before Google bought it. Terry and I started, we had a spring break blog that we did again, that was before Google even bought them. Like we had like people that followed our adventures on spring break. We would spend time at night writing a blog about what we did that
like
day.
A recap.
A recap of the courses we played. I really wish that was available somewhere, but that was 1998, 98, I think, is when we did that. And it was like, oh, look at this. We're writing.
Please tell me that's all still out there somewhere.
I wish it were. If it was, I would love it. But
I bet it'd be fascinating.
That's gone to the archives, I'm sure. I don't even remember what the page was.
John, are you on the Wordle train?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I have told my wife this, that I will continue to play Wordle as long as I'm 100%. I've not lost it. I've missed a couple days, but I've not lost a Wordle yet.
Yeah, gotcha.
So as long as I continue to keep up with Wordle here, as you know, I've got
MySpace.
58. It's a blurry. It's 58 times, and I'm 100% on that.
Nice work.
Yeah, 51 current streak. So I missed one, 51 days ago. I missed a day or two. But yes, I just once I lose.
Fish in the chat.
What was that?
I said Andrew Fish just jumped in the chat.
Hi, Andrew. Exciting. You're welcome to join if you'd like, Andrew. I like Andrew's takes on Twitter. He's a smart guy. But yeah, the minute I lose one, I'm quitting. At that point, I'm done. Like, fair. Cool. I've done my thing. I don't need to play this game anymore.
I'm going to put that on my kids in sports as well. Yes.
The minute you miss one, you quit.
I will support you until you lose a sporting event of any kind. And at that point, I'm out. So
your first strikeout in Little League, gone. See ya. I'm done. I'm out. It was a good run, kid. And just leave.
What is your opening word in Wordle?
I switch it up. I do. Sometimes it's like spice. Sometimes I use spear. What was my opening one today? It was grape. Just out of nowhere, I decided to do grape.
You're just kind of a feel player.
Yeah. Usually, I try to get a word with two vowels in it, A and E. Mm-hmm. And then I just pick one. Like, I don't have the same one every. That would be boring to me. I've come down to the last one a few times, a couple sixes there, and those were a little sweating those out. But a couple of days ago, it was vivid. That one almost got me. But, two V's, two I's.
Yeah, that's rough. My favorite is arise.
Yep, I've done that one before.
3 vowels. But I read somewhere that roate is the technical best.
The technical best
on a
one.
Short list of the technical best to use because the R and the T are the most common consonants. Don't quote me on that. Adieu. Wow, that's a good one.
I've heard a couple of people doing
vowels.
adieu. Because that lets you know basically the vowels that are in it. Because, you got almost all of them but the O. So, yeah, I just like to switch it up every once in a while, As long as you don't repeat letters.
Thanks, Luke. Great. I guess any green is good. What's today's word? I want John to think I'm smart.
Oh, well, it's 11:24 here, so.
Did you say it was vivid?
No, that was what it was.
There's about to be a new one.
Yeah, there's about to be a new one. This one actually, I thought this one was a little difficult, but
really,
it wasn't horrible. Does everyone want to see? Everyone want to see how I got today's word? Started with grape. Then I did spore. From spore, I went to purse. And then I got rupee.
Oh, wait. Rupee. Wow!
2.
That's amazing!
Definitely post that.
That is incredible.
Are you still 100%? Have you won ever?
I am, actually. That's cool. Yeah. I've only played 30. Yeah. I haven't played for the last couple weeks. That's cool, actually. I didn't know. I've never really looked at those numbers.
Someone asked, did you try Dordle or Quordle or other? No.
Octwordle or whatever.
Nope, nor none of the math ones. I strictly going to stick with Wordle, like I said, until I lose, and then I quit. So,
anti-disestablishmentarianism.
That's right.
Yeah, that would be tough for sure.
Did you want to talk about advertising, Tyler?
Oh, are we still recording the show?
Oh crap! Was I supposed to record this?
Gosh.
Oh gosh! Whoops!
I thought we had been done forever.
Well, I mean,
what I noticed during DGN was, that a few companies are starting to get it. I feel like this conversation, I'm gonna lay the groundwork for this conversation. I have a very specific point of view about branding because I'm only one person with one brain. Mm-hmm. So everything that I say from here out comes from my particular set of experiences.
Sure.
With helping brands over the last 15 years. But I was shocked when I came into the disc golf scene 3 years ago that people weren't doing what I would call a more traditional form of advertising.
Okay.
And we did, and we started to implement some, I would say, more modern advertising techniques, and we're able to set ourselves apart branding-wise pretty quickly. And so there's always been kind of this little evil voice in the back of my head that's like, don't talk about this. Like people are going to figure it out, but for a while, like if everybody else wants to put up a PowerPoint presentation with some metal music, about their new discs or their, basket or whatever, then let that be. And, you can keep shooting for stuff. I've always shot to make stuff that you might like find on TV. And obviously I don't have a $50,000 camera and a production crew, but in terms of the writing,
okay.
In terms of where you have that really traditional progressive insurance commercial where the nut graph or the meat of the information is delivered in the first 5 seconds. Did you know you can save 10% or more when shopping with Geico? It's like this funny thing that happens with this guy. And then we have 20 seconds of just nothing about the company or the offer. It's just the whole rest of the thing is designed to just entertain and make their offer memorable. And they might bring it back in at the end, but
advertising has been interesting in disc golf, and I've seen when it comes to video advertising, I'll say, because I can't speak much for the magazine. I have literally seen it all because I have been the one that everybody has had to send ads to for 7 years now.
Yeah,
and
so you've seen,
so I've quite literally seen every ad. It's very interesting, though, that this year I am no longer that person that people get the ads from. Instead, they're being sent to Tosi, who is now doing what I would do previously.
Great
name. Great name. So previously, we would get the ads in. I'd take them. I would master them to a specific audio decibel and LUFS level, and then make sure they were compressed, and then we put them in our system where we then throw another compressor on them just in case it didn't work or whatever, it got a little too loud, and do that. So I no longer do that. So it was a little strange for me sitting back and seeing these new commercials that are out, but not knowing. Like I saw a commercial with, I think it was a DGA commercial, and all I saw was like, I saw some stuff, and then there was someone hiding behind the trunk of a car, handing cash or receipts or something. That's all I saw. And I knew it was a DGA commercial because I think I saw something flash earlier, but I literally thought, oh God, I am missing out right now because I'm probably the only person in the world that thought like I'm missing out on this particular DGA ad because I know you tend to put out what, in my opinion, are some of the best ads because they're humorous, and I like the funny ads. I mean, DGA has done, they did the serious ad, the Mach X now, and it's a spinning basket, and someone from the darkness is throwing it. Great ads, fine, very easy. It was strange for me, but going back and thinking about some of the early ads, it's really interesting because I thought back in the day, and I still swear up and down, Legacy had the best ads. They had, I don't know who they pulled in from the LA area or what they did, but they had the best ads. Their ads were, for being such a small company, were a step above everybody else's. They looked perfect. Special effects. They had this awesome one I loved where you walked up to a basket and it was like you were wearing like almost like an Iron Man HUD, and it was like lines and like numbers were flying through, like, oh, it's 212 feet. Here's the line you need to go, and I need to pull out my, my icon, whatever, or a cannon. And it was really good. I loved it. And then you had like these ads with, some just really chill music and Rico playing and talking about, hey, this is this disc. This is how I do it. Great ads when everybody else was putting out more or less garbage.
Yeah.
Then DD stepped in and Bobby Brown lifted the game again and started creating more humorous ads and more enjoyable ads to watch that weren't just, your traditional, the ads that I felt like I could do. And I did a Discraft ad in my basement with a 2x4 and a camera that I just set down, had a pile of plastic, and just put an audio track behind it. And because Discraft didn't have a commercial department, so they sponsored an event but didn't have any commercials. So I made one. I was like, I'm going to make one for them because I have a bunch of old Discraft stuff. So it was just me taking discs off of a pile.
That's awesome.
And at the end, I just literally said like, Discraft, thank you for your support. And it was at the very bottom, it was this on my floor with the discs over one of the Smashbox logos, and that was the last thing that you saw. And it was just...
That's awesome.
And I'm sure there's people on the board that remember, and I played that ad as much as I could because I liked it, and it had all my old plastic in it. Like, oh, look, there's an MRV, there's an MRX, there's, a Tracer, there's the X Clone, and, you went through the whole progression of Discraft's history as of 8 years ago or 7 years ago, whenever I made that commercial. And then there's the DGA ads now that I love because I think you raised the bar again to be a more professional and maybe I'm skewed because I do like the funny ads. I like the perspective. It makes me chuckle. If I can watch something that also makes me laugh, that's great. Because there are other companies that are doing decently professional ads out there.
Oh yeah.
And they look good now as opposed to what we had before.
I can't compete with, if somebody wanted to make an ad, like a real high production value, ad that looked and sounded just like technically perfect. I'm a one-man department here, so they would have that. But it's interesting to see people. Yeah, those are all very nice things. But what's interesting is this balance of professionalism, like that they're not mutually exclusive, like to have a really professional ad or to have a funny one. I'm like, no, listen. And this is kind of something that got me the phone call from DGA in the first place, and frankly took a second because it's a pretty radical idea. If all you're seeing is, flashy music and cool dramatic lighting effects on your products and a nice voiceover, and I'm like, okay, so what if I blur out the logo, but I'm going to take a different disc and pretend I'm doing a comparison with ours, and then I end up just throwing it into a bench in front of me, and I throw ours. It look nice. Or I'm going to tie a rope onto one of their baskets and say it's not sturdy, and you can clearly see me pulling it over in the thing. And like, I think to a lot of people, they look at that, they're like, well, I mean, it looks nice, but it's not like a professional thing. It's a funny thing. And I'm like, those are the exact same thing, because it is my profession to make a piece of content that is going to get people's attention and make our product more memorable than it is inherently even. And that's why you see Super Bowl commercials use humor. So anyway, I have this chip on my shoulder, as you can tell, with people who are like, humor is a lesser art form, rather than just the truly professional thing. And I feel really, really proud of the comments and where we're at. And I'm seeing other people start to use it. So that was the segue, where I'm like, okay, I think I've run out of my 2 years of being able to get away with making the funny ads. You know what I mean? Because there's other people now who are like doing it and doing it really well. There's a few that I've seen that I was like, that was really good. The PDGA even, like that was a delightful ad with the crocodile hunting, or the guy who wanted to sponsor an event, and he wanted to have, crocodiles on his hole 18 or whatever.
I haven't seen that. That's funny. Like, again, I haven't seen any of I haven't seen any of the ads that ran this weekend, so that's clearly a new one.
So it's a new one. Yeah, phone call between two guys, and they just have a funny conversation, but it tells a story about what the PDGA can do for your event, and it was memorable to me. Steve Dodge's MVP announcement video is another one where obviously you can nitpick at the acting. We don't have any professional actors in disc golf.
Yeah, look at the double G, the pros that are doing the double G.
Right, yeah.
Not actors.
Not actors, and everybody gets that. But what I like is just the script, with this Steve Dodge talking to Steve from MVP and them having a funny conversation, and then him walking in and they're in the other room, and I got a chuckle out of that. And I feel like there was I'm blanking on it, but I know there was 3, and I feel like maybe another one. But we're gonna be seeing that more and more, and I'm super excited about it because I don't want our commercials to be really good just because everybody else's are bad.
Yeah.
Like, I want everybody's commercials to be good and ours to still be good. So I need to, keep advancing our content.
So
I agree, Alan, for sure.
I dug through the archive. Literally 20, I think I made this in 2015. And it's this backdrop behind me.
Like the stream, if you remember this.
Yeah.
Terry Miller signed XL. Please tell me all these discs are still alive.
Yeah, I have them. They're all in here. They're all mine. At some point, Terry gave me that disc and it had his name on it. And I just kind of organized them by year, honestly. And I had to put the name of who the artist, because... That's an original Buzz. That one is now signed by Nate Doss on the signature spot. But yeah, I mean, it's
a zone. Oh yeah, it's a zone.
Yep.
Force.
Yep, an old 4-chain magnet. My original one of the things.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how that was. And that was me in my basement with like I said, a 2x4 to hold my camera straight up and down because I didn't have anybody else to help me, and I didn't have a tripod even for my camera. So
we got to get you a top down rig and get you out of the production game and into the content creation.
Into the content creation. I'm do some box.
Oh, you're hired, by the way. I was trying to interview you for the wrong job.
Yeah, see, that is...
Thank you for bringing up Jonathan with Latitude 64. Jonathan is a brother of mine that I wasn't aware I had until about 6 months ago when I started watching his videos. And it is my disc golf dream, one of my disc golf bucket list items, to make some content with him. Have you watched his stuff? Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't think I do.
Imagine me... but like fit, Swedish, and funny. Can you get there? I know that's asking. I mean, we're taking big leaps here. Okay. Tattooed as well.
I think I got him.
You got him? Okay.
Yeah.
Open your eyes.
Not what I pictured.
I was way off. But he's making delightful vlog style videos for Latitude, and then has done some commercials as well. But just like, because my goal whenever I make a commercial is just to set the pace and then bump like the comedy is to surprise people. So I always want to push people in a certain direction and then yank them back the other way, catch them off guard, surprise them. And his videos are very surprising throughout. There's multiple moments that catch you off guard and make you laugh. So thanks for bringing that up, Jay. That was definitely another one that I've seen. Another company or, person who's doing really good, funny, professional videos.
Oh, geez. I have an old. I should give you access to this. It's basically almost every company's commercial that I kept them all in a shared drive, so I would always have.
Oh my gosh!
Always have them.
That would be wild to
going way back.
I really want to see those old legacy ones. Like. That's the curious thing to me, because
see what?
If a commercial is bad 10 years ago, who cares? Disc golf is where it was, and even video technology. Now everybody's got what used to be the equivalent of $50,000 worth of video equipment. Everybody's got that just on them most of the time, and so if an old video used to be bad, it's not a big deal. But the ones that were good. That's what I think is really cool.
All right, I'm going to see if this holds up, because this is the commercial that I think it was back in 2015 when they first started doing commercials for Legacy. Like I remember thinking like, "Oh my god, nobody is doing things like this right now." With like a HUD overlay and
oh, okay, look at that. Little motion tracking and After Effects.
Nobody had done anything. I didn't even know how they did it back then. Obviously now I'm looking at like, oh yeah, this is After Effects and this and that. But like,
nice.
They just had such a good game for commercials at the time.
Yeah.
So interesting stuff.
That's really great. FPV drones obviously changed the game.
Yes.
Literally, we were able to use that in that funny hurricane commercial that I referenced earlier, where not only am I throwing a competitor's disc into a bench in front of me, but then when I throw ours, we actually had this beautiful swooping, flight.
Yeah, those are
featurette of old disc golf commercials. Yes, Alan. Oh yeah, I want these.
Alan just wants to see the old Legacy commercial with AJ in it.
Oh yeah, pull it up.
Ugh.
I want to get greenlit from all the other companies to just make a 1-hour compilation of all these commercials on Tyler Brickley and Friends and just do commentary over all of them.
Oh sure, I know a guy that's got them. It's me. All right, hold on. Let's see if I can pull up the old AJ one. I have to download them every time. There we go. I think this is AJ's first sponsor.
I'm AJ Risley.
Oh, it's a baby Risley.
It is a baby Risley, and this is the Gauge.
With its reliable straight flight and its excessive amount of glide, the Gauge is perfect for players of all skill levels.
Ooh, pull the stamp off of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
pull the stamp
awesome.
right off. Yeah, so I have and again, this ended like last year or the year before, because last year when the Pro Tour took over, then Sean Jack now keeps the basically master copy of commercials, and he lays them out for the order that we're going to put them in. Do I have the Jesus commercial? Do you remember the manufacturer, Tim? Because if you remember the manufacturer, there's a good chance I have it. I've got a DG comedy commercial, Weather Delay Brickley.
Oh my gosh. I forgot about that. I made that in 20 minutes because there was a 1-hour weather delay, and I messaged you back when I didn't know you that well.
No.
And said, hey, I'm going to send you something funny, whether you want to use it or not, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever used it. Did we?
No, you ran it.
Did I?
No,
While we wait on the rest of the weather delay, you could just watch me do this with my thumbs.
I wish I could hear it.
Oh, you can't hear it? Hold on.
I had those. I still got those thumb
this on loop,
things
maybe?
in my closet right here. I saw
can you
those
just
the
put
other
this
day.
on loop, mate?
What am I saying?
Hold on.
Yourself in a weather delay. Well, listen,
Okay.
that really sucks. I'm sorry about it, but you know, rain is what rain is, I guess. Let's take this time to do something positive. So maybe like jump in the chat right here and say some nice things to your friends. Or you could, down below me, make sure you give that video a big thumbs up, okay? And then while we wait on the rest of the weather delay, you could just watch me do this with my thumbs. Or just put this on loop, maybe. JVD, can you just put this on loop, mate?
I feel like I remember that moment. I feel like I remember being so nervous.
Whew.
Luckily, I don't look.
Crazy.
I don't
I'm gonna
look
go keep
nervous, but
working
I
on
feel like
this.
I remember my
And,
heart
see you
just
all
like
in the chat once
pounding.
the main coverage starts. Peace out, guys.
That was I worked for a different company back then. That was not okay. Like I was supposed to be doing something else, but I just probably took a half hour and like set up the screen and the cameras and the lights.
Really?
And sent you that. Yeah, because I saw an opportunity. That is so funny.
That is really funny.
I need to probably send that commercial to my old boss and say, hey, I owe you half an hour of work at some point.
Yeah. That is, yeah. So I mean, it's again. I think I don't know. Let me do a quick search here.
Man.
I doubt I labeled it as the Jesus commercial. But
I don't remember which one Tim's talking about. Oh, Disc Golf Heaven, Sandy Point. Is that?
nope, that's
what you're talking
different.
about? Okay. I remember the Jesus thing with Conrad as a Jomez Hole preview. I don't remember a commercial.
Oh, I think I found it.
Uh-oh.
Let's see if it holds up. This commercial and the salmon commercial were the two that really kind of stuck for the longest time. So here we go.
Salmon.
Full turn discs.
Hello, it's me, your pal, JC. I've heard your prayers for an improvement in your disc golf game.
Yes.
Well,
No.
JC here is going to go ahead and throw you a pretty big bone. I present the Traveler. It's an overstable driver by full turn discs. Isn't it heavenly? It's the newest disc on the market. You can take it from the highest authority that this is the disc.
Tim Court says this only ran once.
You're welcome.
This is well written. Wow. Wow.
There you go, Tim.
Wow.
That's just for you.
I have never seen that. That was wild. I was going to say, Ray, like, that's a bold move. Like, I don't care who you are or what you believe to make Jesus your spokesperson.
Yeah, to bring in a deity of some sort is you got some.
Wow.
So
that is incredible.
that's and I don't know if gosh, I don't even know if I have the salmon commercial.
Oh man, the salmon. That was good times. That was so memed. I still use Sam as a reference. The real OGs know, but I definitely put it in a couple of my videos around that time.
Yeah, I don't think
my in the bag. I did a funny in the bag, and there was a couple slices of salmon in the top pocket of my grip bag.
those are DGN commercials. I think it was a DGPT commercial.
Yeah.
Ooh, I go back to 2016, so.
Well, it was 2019. I mean, or not.
I'm sure it was, yeah.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it was the year before. Yeah, this
How long did I have
DGPT
to sit on the
commercials.
cat news? Over a month. It was pretty rough. I am very proud of us because you got a lot of people that were like, "Oh, we totally knew." Nobody knew, and everybody. You're saying that you knew based on the fact that you had seen people guessing DGA, and you're like, "Yeah, no, it was common knowledge that she was going to DGA," but no, nobody knew like people knew about some others. There was never any. We were just one of the most popular guesses. But man, we did it. It was rough. It was hard to keep it a secret for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the salmon one. I'm looking at 2019, 2020. That's a DGPT
Reddit
shop ad. Yeah.
No, Reddit didn't know. Reddit had one guy who was claiming some bizarre things. Jesus, through the disc.
Somewhere.
Salmon was almost 2 years of fodder for the chat back when YouTube chat was fun.
Yes. Yep.
That just because they guessed, just because they said no, it's definitely DGA, doesn't mean they knew. Guys, I was in those conversations too, and I know those people. They didn't know.
Man, I'm trying. Do you
got something?
Gosh, do you remember the girlfriend ad?
Should I not watch this? Should I close my eyes?
Does anybody out there remember? It's labeled as the best girlfriend. It's a disc golf trading card one.
Oh no! This is how far we've come.
Yeah, we're after dark, aren't we?
I mean, it's 8 more minutes to midnight, but I'll just claim that I was never
Yeah,
DGA LLC and all of its affiliates do not endorse nor condone the actions of SmashBoxx LLC or any.
Well,
of
of course
its
not.
partners.
So this was a trading card video, a trading card commercial that Steve Dodge ran.
What the heck? That ran
Multiple times.
like in the live coverage.
In the
of
live
some
coverage, yeah.
Major
They were-
event.
Yeah, 2016 trading cards. That was a 2016 commercial. 2017? 2017 commercial because they were promoting the 2016. Yeah.
That.
I-
Well, no wonder. No wonder we mutinied.
It was, gosh.
It's midnight where you were. Yeah, that's I think the one we just watched, Frolfer. Wow, that is just I mean, I get it. I get it from a marketing point of view.
Of course.
I don't get it from a branding point of view.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the conversation. I'm like, I get why somebody would want to do that and sell a product. I get it. I don't get why that never got flagged at some point during the production process. It's not just one guy making that whole thing and sending it to somebody. Like, there were people involved. There were conversations at work where you're showing people and like, hey, here's our ad for the whatever. And not at one point during all of that did someone say, I don't know. I feel like maybe. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Again, I've got all the blackmail material.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah.
The old UDisc commercials. The one that says cat driving, where they talk about her statistics driving. We've got
the new UDisc commercial last year. Very good. So good. The one where they took 2 new players and kind of showed their progression.
Oh, I haven't seen that one, honestly.
They had a separate company make it for them, and it was top quality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a couple.
I have an idea for our next DGPT ad that I'm hoping to get Katrina involved with. I've got a...
Okay.
Most of my videos start with jokes. Like I think of a like a play on words or a joke, and then it kind of backs into the ability to help a certain product. And I thought of something the other day that was funny to me, and I'm like, oh, that could actually work if that was Katrina saying that. And then so we'll see.
Yeah.
Hope to do more of that. That stuff.
That would be fun. Maybe one of these nights we'll just do an old throwback, like just watch all the old commercials from all these people. Like I'm watching these old one shots from the DGPT. Like, oh, here, Macbeth's throw-in on 18 at Maple Hill. It was like, it just says one shot, the home of live disc golf or something, or the best whatever, and LaVisca, La Castro. All disc golf's biggest moments happen here, and they're showing these guys just throwing in these shots, like Nico's ace on hole 8 at Maple Hill. So funny.
Yeah, good point, Carolina. Do we do any social media coaching for no, not actively. I mean, I'm as involved. I tell every single pro that we sign the same thing, and I told Andrew and Katrina this when we signed them. I'm here for you, and this is what I do for a living, and I've got a lot of thoughts about it, and I've done this for a long time. Whatever level of involvement you would like from me, I'm willing and actually excited to help you with. But it's a personal thing, your own personal brand, and your social media strategy is something that every person determines for themselves. So worst case scenario is me trying to be overbearing or imposing. So it's oh, that's right. For me, it's my job commercial.
Oh, that's the PDGA. That's straight up PDGA.
You don't have that one?
Of course I have that one.
You're like, come on. Yes.
Come on.
For me, it's my job.
Let's see.
Here's the benefit. Okay, so the problem with what I'm doing, which is trying to create fresh ads for every single event.
Do you want the 30-second or the 60-second version?
Of course we want the 60-second version. The problem with what I'm doing is that our ads are dynamic and fresh for every event, and people look forward to seeing them, okay? That's my problem. But the good thing about what we used to do with commercials was run the exact same commercial 3 times a day.
Yep.
For a 4-day event for the entire year. So we got to see it 276 times by the time the year was over. And so it's almost like grown, offshoots of lore out of it by that point. And there's all these memes and all these inside jokes that happen.
Yeah, this someone said this played for 4 years, I think. Yeah, it might have, honestly, because this is from 2015, and we begged the PDGA to get a new ad, and the next newest one I have is 2019. That's the 2019 member recruitment video one where they you can
with
still
the kind of
see
blue overlay, and
you can see him throwing in the woods, and there's one where Mike Downs is talking and like, hey, welcome to the thing.
Yep.
But what they don't have is this.
Yes.
Yep.
For me, it's time with my friends.
It's time with my friends. Oh my God, we used to sit in the control room and just make up things. For me, it's hiding bodies in the woods.
Well, see, that's exactly what the YouTube.
That's my job.
There it is. Go in.
For me, it's all about the exercise.
And as he runs away.
For me, it fits into my busy lifestyle.
My busy lifestyle.
I don't know that I've seen the 60s. Whoa! Oh, whoa!
It's my passion.
Whoa,
a kiss.
Settle down. Settle
yeah, this
down.
is the 60-second
no wonder
version.
The 60-second was banned.
It doesn't cost much to play.
Doesn't cost much to play.
There she is.
It's fun.
It's fun.
And then we get Macbeth.
Smash.
Boom.
Boom.
There you go, folks.
60 seconds was R-rated.
It was R-rated.
There was a sex scene in the 60-second one, so we had to cut it down to 30. Man, that... Yeah, but again, when you watch it hundreds of times...
Oh, yep.
It becomes a thing where you're saying, for me, it's never getting a putt over the top of the cage. For me, it's hitting the band every single time.
We had that one, but I believe even before the For Me ad, we had this one. All right. I think I need to put a disclaimer out there for people that might have seizures. Please be careful.
Oh, gosh. Yes!
It's in the air.
Oh my gosh, this is a discgolfplanet.tv ad.
Yep, this was one of the this might be one of the originals. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Join the excitement, PDGA.com.
I remember that. And yes, who was it that just asked? Oh yeah, Kenny. Absolutely remember discgolfplanet.tv.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave Greenwell and Crazy John and the terrible production problems that JVD was dealing with behind the scenes, probably. All the awkward 20-second, silences, or the throw out to the course and then the come right backs.
Oh, yes.
Man.
I don't know if I have...
The ESP-epilepsy zone. The epilepsy zone.
Oh, my gosh. It's got to be in here. I feel like I'm just taking pot shots at companies now, but...
Well, at the time, that's what's bizarre is at the time, it's cool. And so the Tour Series ad that I just released at All-Stars. All-Stars? No, LVC. No, just this last weekend. I made what I would confidently say right now is a really cool ad for our Tour Series lineup in 2022. And Molly and other people, like, it's so hype, and it's so exciting, and I love it. How many years is it going to take for me to look back on it and be like, oh my gosh, that is so bad? 5 months?
I don't know.
It's bad now?
No, I don't necessarily think that. I'm trying to see if I can find the Discraft one with all the emojis.
Oh gosh, I hate it already.
Oh my god,
I don't even know what you're talking about. But even just that on the storyboard. Okay, we're going to use a bunch of emojis. Nope.
Yep.
Get out.
Yeah, honestly, that was this one isn't bad. It might be the Avenger SS one.
3 years, you think? We'll see. Can somebody timestamp this moment? Can somebody please put it in your calendar to mail me a link to our 2022 Tour Series ad 3 years from tonight?
Yeah. Hey Siri, remind me. All right, I don't know if this is the one or not.
Straight flight that you're looking for. Okay.
I've never seen this.
Are you guys looking for a disc that flies pretty straight? I would recommend the Avenger SS. I really like.
No, this one is. I don't think this is it. This is just an Avenger SS. They had one that had like this similar to this, but like emojis would pop up all over, like smiley faces and.
Oh no.
Throw it out at a hyzer flip, let it fly.
Yeah.
It's still gonna come back.
No, this is not a bad commercial.
Wait. What do you have? What do you have for us? Before me?
Not much, honestly. The earliest ones I have are those mock X commercials.
Come on, give us one.
The earliest ones because I did peek at that to see if I could embarrass DGA a little bit, and
the ones with John Baldwin, right, in the warehouse with the
I believe so. Yeah, the DGA basket special. Let's see here. I think this is the 2070, the Simplify commercial where it just goes through.
Yeah. Right.
Yep. Here's the basket special one. This is probably the oldest one I have.
This is all so inspiring to me, by the way.
Good.
You were right to think that I would be interested in all of these ads.
Yeah, I'll give you. I will literally share the folder with you at some point, and
nothing would make me make better ads than to go back and watch all these.
Yeah, this is I think this is the first DGA ad that we had.
See, and I'll use us as, this is literally a PowerPoint presentation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what this is. And it's just a bunch of pictures with some words on it, and then it blurs. It's got a transition between.
Boom.
Yeah.
Whoa, mock baskets. I've never seen that. We have an overarching baskets logo for our mock series. We need to dig that back up. Yeah, but that's exactly, you saw that a lot. Just like we can just use pictures, but let's kind of animate them. And then boom, you got a commercial.
Yeah, so we had those, and then at some point, we had John Baldwin in the, which isn't a bad commercial. You could still actually use it, but
I feel like Jamie Thomas produced that.
That wouldn't shock me at all.
I'm not sure what the time frame was, but I feel like it was
the old Shift Your Game for the original DGA shifts.
There was a really old Mock Light commercial that was really, really well done for the time. It's buried on our YouTube channel way back.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a really good 1990s commercial, but it looks like high production value.
Oh, that's cool.
For the time. Why are so many of DGA's discs named after ways to die in the water? It's all coastal. It's all coastal. So there's a few of those.
And then you come to 2019.
The coast is a dangerous place, Alan. It's really not about us being violent. It's just about, you got to live in the Midwest. Am I right, JVD?
I mean, you have to. There's nothing here is going to kill you. I mean, tornadoes for you guys, but
never seen a tornado.
Yeah.
Kansas is the tornado capital of the world. Never seen one.
PGA Pipeline's the longest, straightest fairway driver you'll ever throw. I just need a good line about pipes and disc golf. Pipes. I got nothing.
Do you have the Mach 7 one from that tournament?
I do.
I made like 5 or 6 little short quips, and that was
Yep.
That was a fun project.
Yeah, I liked those. I remember we were talking about those, and to get those all in like a specific order, and they have to show at a certain time.
That was one of the first times that you and I ever.
The Mach 7's a really great disc golf basket, but it also makes a really good step stool. Say you got something up high, you need to reach. Oh God!
I hurt myself doing that.
I believe that you fell out of a.
I did it about 4 times, and each time I started to. When I go back and watch, that's what it was. Because I'm bailing, as the basket tips over, my brain kicks in and I'm protecting myself, even with a mattress or whatever it was laying there. This basket's landing on top of me, and that was the last. Can you play it one more time? Play one more time. That was the last time. Was the 4th time. I'm like, I don't care. I'm just gonna literally do this full send.
Say you got something up high, you need to reach. Oh God!
And it hurt. It landed right on my hip. The basket as we went down.
You're, as someone says on the board, you're committed to your art.
Yeah, I was for that one. I remember thinking the only way it's actually going to look like I'm falling over is if I just fall over.
I'm trying to see. So, the black ink disc ones everyone really liked.
Okay. Well, Infinites Infinites are I feel like lower production value.
Yeah, a little lower production value.
They have fun ideas. They stale after a lot of repetitive use, But originally, the first time you see the Infinite ad, it's really fun stuff.
I really liked this one here. Oh, good. I thought my system was locking up for a second. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna crash.
Are you currently looking for
this one was pretty good.
How do you get
Hey, Kat.
usually?
Players party. Eagles hair.
And how's that been working for you? Not so good. Have you ever tried looking online?
Never.
Actually, Simon did. That's where he met his wife.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. Wow.
Find your go-to disc at blankinkdiscs.com today. 2018 tour support discs available now.
Gotta get one.
What's at frolfersonly.com?
Probably. Hopefully it brings you to Black Ink. That's the smart move, right?
Discs. That's very smart. I love funny URLs with redirects.
Does it bring you to Black Ink? It should.
It does. Yeah.
Good.
It does. That's a great ad. That's very clever. And
I liked that ad a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone called me a media hoarder. 100%. Just for reasons like this. Because I am, again, you would have to go back through all of the broadcasts to get access to this. I'm the only one in the world that has it. The only one that has the archive.
Soon to be two people in the world will have it. But I'm even just watching 10 of these, like all I want to do tomorrow, which is not all I'm going to get to do, but all I want to do tomorrow is to design our ad for Waco, or whatever, whenever we're going to have another ad, and just like, yeah, I want to be the Black Ink Discs ad 4 years from now, where you look back and you're like, that was really, really well done.
Yeah, Black Ink had a few of them, and I don't know where the other one is. They had one with like James Conrad sitting at a table and pushing his hair back. It's probably in here somewhere. I think that was Black Ink as well.
The sad part of this whole conversation is that they're not made in a vacuum. And I think everybody looks at these and then you look at what you could do. And at least my experience has been, and I'm guessing the same with a lot of the other manufacturers too, is, the phone call where it's like, hey, we were actually talking to so-and-so, and because of this disc shipment or basket sponsorship or whatever, we actually have a couple ads that we can run in the thing next week. Like, what do you have or what could you do? And so there's often not like months to think and plan and prepare what your ad strategy is going to be. It's often a little bit reactionary. And so you get stuff where, you put music over a PowerPoint presentation. But
yeah, honestly.
History judges it a little more harshly than that.
I mean, sometimes there's nothing you can do. I mean,
that's just the perspective for people who are looking back at these ads and thinking that Discraft or Innover, whoever, had 2 months with their whole crew, before they sent that ad to you guys. Like, that's often not how it works.
No, unfortunately. Like, take a look at like the Innova commercials from this weekend. You can tell they're shot in Vegas. They were probably shot and edited in a week. Like those holes are the same ones that those guys are playing, that they were playing this weekend. So that they were filmed when the players got there, probably a week ago. They probably had to get there early, because Discraft used to do the same thing. If you look at all of their commercials, early commercials, they were all filmed at the memorial courses, and then they would edit them and put them together. It was usually 3 shots of somebody throwing. One of them was slow-mo, some words over it, and then buy this disc. That's what almost all of them were. So
we have a subscription to the Envato sites for Frolfer. So that's where I get all of my creative assets.
Is it bad when I've never even heard of some of these companies?
That sent you commercials?
Night Chains? No, the old commercials. I don't remember playing them.
Night Chains?
Night Chains, yeah.
That sounds like a
basket lighting.
Bad college experience.
KNIGHT Chains. I just don't remember them. The old legacy ones. Millennium, Mint, MVP, NADG. Oh my God, NADGT ads.
Oh no.
Oh, I'm not even gonna go down that road.
I'm an unbiased observer. I can't trash another company's ads because I don't want that to come back on us. So I'm just gonna let's move on.
Then I will. My God, those ads were bad. And I get it. You don't have a budget for it, so it's usually just a bunch of screenshots with whatever. But oh man, some of those early ads were not good.
Okay, but do you remember? So there's an interesting subculture of people who think that that's brilliant advertising. You know, like the head-on apply directly to forehead. Head-on apply directly to forehead. Feldberg's Pro Pull commercial. Remember that from last year, or was that 2 years ago?
Yeah.
How it was so bad that it went viral, and they sold out of them immediately. You know, so it's like there's this interesting side of me that wants to do that one of these days.
Just do like a really mediocre or parody ad.
Just super weird, trippy. You know, looks like it was.
Hi, this is Dave Feldberg, the 2008 Disc Golf World Champion, and I'm here today to talk to you about Pro Pull and their training products.
See, and I don't think the ad is that bad. It's just that it was on ESPN. Like, it was not it was not.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm like, what was it that we all hated about this? This could have been a bandwagon thing.
It was. It just didn't look the same as every other ad that was on ESPN.
This has been Dave Feldberg with Pro Pull Disc Golf. Go to propulldiscgolf.com and try our products today.
It's really not bad.
It's not as bad as everyone. Yeah,
that's not a bad. I have it way worse in my head, and because it definitely was kind of a meme. But yeah, you're right. The fact that it was in a much bigger context probably makes it pale a little bit.
Yeah, it's Smashbox. These are just these aren't ads. Oh, I guess they kind of are. It's just like people saying we would throw these in. It was just like 5 seconds of a bumper. Like, hi, I'm Hannah Leatherman. Thanks for watching Smashbox TV. Back when we used to host all the things on our.
That's right.
On our page.
Yes. Oh, yes. DG Beat. Let's freaking go. I want this.
What?
I've thought about that before, actually. For.
Oh yes, we could like totally do that.
You know, like the Webbies or something like that. Like we need to have good and bad. You know, you can win like the best or the worst. Yeah, that would be incredibly fun.
I don't know if anyone remembers. Oh, here we go. Trying to think if there's.
Oh my gosh, who's doing all of the? Is it Ulta World? Who does the like roller of the year? You know, where they go through fan voting, and they have sort of a bracket style elimination.
It's mostly Ulta World.
Everybody does it, but I feel like there's an official one for like the.
Yeah, you want to see a baby? Want to see a baby? Here's a baby.
Hello, I'm Drew Gibson. We're here at the 2016 Memorial Championship.
That 5-second start too.
You pretty much nailed that.
Yeah. Okay.
No, don't.
Why?
Go.
I'm Drew Gibson. I'm excited for the 2016 season. We're at the first stop of the national tour.
This is amazing.
I'm trying to like read it, but because I have my glasses on, so you can't see I'm reading. I'm pretty good at this. All right, I'm gonna nail this one.
Go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was kind of the whole point, was that he couldn't get the words out. He kept screwing it up, and Terry was getting so frustrated. He must have done that like for like 10 minutes until finally he clipped up just the worst takes and we put them together.
Oh, that's a great. Hey, way to call an audible.
Yeah. The Ezra Aderhouse before Ezra was Matt House. Big old strong dude.
I'm Matt House. You're watching live disc golf on SmashBoxxTV.
He was the guy that like he was ripped back then. You're like, oh dude, that guy's like he's a powerhouse. He's Matt House, you know, and it's funny.
Hey Ray, I want the recognition for our brand that we work hard for. How dare you, sir? Superlatives banquet during All-Star Weekend. Yeah, that could be fun. It seems like it needs to be an end of the year thing.
Yeah, I think an end of the year. Wow.
Is there any disc golf wide end of the year celebration? Does everybody consider a certain, is it USDGC or like what's considered to be like the final?
Yeah, the Pro Tour finale is probably the final stop of everything. Well,
there you go.
After
Pro
Effects
Tour finale.
Full previews. Hi, I'm Batman. You're watching. Paul Macbeth. I'm Paul Macbeth. You're watching SmashBoxxTV stuff. Oh, we cannot go through the night without watching this one.
Okay.
All right, this is... I think I broke the internet a little bit when I did this. I don't know if there's anyone still watching us.
There's a surprising amount of people watching us.
All right.
What are you all doing?
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing. Okay. I was very frustrated when I made this ad.
Okay.
At the internet. Bruce Willis was a ghost. Gwyneth Paltrow's head is in the box.
I remember this.
Kills Dumbledore. Mrs. Bates was dead. Ross and Rachel end up together. Rosebud was the
Bates
sled.
was dead?
Special effects.
Tyler Durden
Special effects.
doesn't exist. What? Oh.
Vader is Luke's father.
You can see
Ned
the
Stark
line.
is
Shut
killed
up.
in season 1. Miss Voorhees was the killer. Soylent Green. People
is
got
people.
so mad
This
at me
is a
for
public
this.
service announcement. There are no spoilers in sports. Watch live disc golf on SmashBoxx TV.
I love that. That's so funny.
I think, I don't know for sure because it's blurry back then, but I don't know if I was the one that kind of coined the phrase, there are no spoilers in live sports, which is what a lot of people now are because we would just say
there's no
that.
spoilers in sports.
Yeah, there's no spoilers in sports.
You watch it live.
So it's kind of funny. That was...
I love that.
I was back then. It was so much fun because we had so much dead air. It didn't matter what we put on. Like it was kind of just like, oh hey, let's sure. I remember spending like 2 hours making that commercial because I just set the camera up and then for like back then I was like, this is clever because Tyler Durden is the same as the other guy, so I had me and one in a hoodie and you could totally see the line, but it was just like, oh, look at this. This is funny. And I could do whatever I wanted. I could put whatever I wanted on there and nobody could stop me. Which is probably not the best thing in the world, but
wait. Mrs. Bates, like in the Bates Motel,
Psycho.
like Psycho?
Yeah.
I've never seen Psycho.
So Psycho, Norman Bates, obviously a murderer. People come to his hotel, he murders her. Throughout the movie, you see more or less shadows and outlines and like her in the shadows of Norman's mom. It's Norman Bates. She's been dead the whole time. She's upstairs in the chair. He's been putting on a wig, and he's like a split personality of her and himself. So he'll talk to himself as her. So
and there's that reveal at the end of the movie, like is him dressing up or something.
Yeah,
or
it's
like
him dressing up, or he goes upstairs and there she is. I think in a rocking chair, like all decayed. The old Hitchcock thing.
Wow, I remember the plot twist in Hide and Seek. Do you remember that movie with Robert De Niro and Dakota Fanning?
I don't think I do.
I'm not a fan of scary movies. I do not. I've probably watched less than 3, like true like horror movies. And Hide and Seek isn't. It's a thriller. But that moment where she's having all these crazy this little girl staying in his house is doing all these increasingly creepier and creepier things in the middle of the night. He's catching her in the middle of the night writing and painting, just do all this super creepy stuff through the whole movie. And then in the very end, there's just this bone chilling moment where you see the main guy switch personalities.
Oh.
Like you see that on camera, like him become the other person and start walking around and doing this stuff. And she's just been witnessing, him go back and forth this whole time. But the first 90% of the movie was all just us viewing it from his normal personality, so like whenever he was in the other one, you wouldn't see it. Yeah. Very clever, super creepy.
Super creepy.
Not a fan.
Not a fan. The funny thing is, Tim and Ray, they were asking for the spoiler commercial. I didn't even see your guys' chat. I wasn't looking at that. And I was scrolling through the Smashbox assets. The other one I found, I need to make sure this is turned down, is this one, which played a lot. We found some template, and I think Terry made this.
Whoa, go Tear.
I know. Now Terry's actually really good at this stuff, but I think we just made this. Yeah, every Tuesday night, step inside the Smashbox. We played that so many times on those early broadcasts.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's.
Was the West Side King box ad disappointing or perfect? I have an opinion on that. Do you have it?
Is it from
2021?
No, I don't have the 2021 or 2022.
Oh, that's right, because you were. Yeah. You're not that guy.
Yeah.
You're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy.
I'm not that guy.
Did you see it?
No, I did not. I've got a commercial for the Wild Horse. That's funny, but
West Side made the level of production value on their mystery box, their King mystery box ad was indie movie level. It just absolutely looked like a scene from some, made for Netflix TV show or something. I mean, and it sounds like I'm saying something bad about it probably right there. I mean, like the best looking disc golf video that the world has ever seen. And it was medieval, and it was in a throne room, and there was a king, and this is the best example of the problem with the ad, because I don't remember what happened. All I remember about it was that it looked amazing. I would not have remembered it was for the king if you hadn't said it. And there wasn't any script or there wasn't anything memorable about it beside the look and feel. So that's a classic advertising challenge. There's a balance between selling something and like making it memorable. And there's all sorts of good examples on both sides of that. You can have a super funny ad where nobody remembers what car that was actually being sold, and that's a huge problem. And when I saw that one, I was just like, oh my gosh, that was so close to like the most perfect disc golf ad the world has ever seen. But for me, I don't think it was written well.
I'm trying to think if I have this or not. I think somebody...
Play us the old Smashbox Dance Party outro song at the end of the show tonight.
I don't think this is it. It's really funny because people in the studio, like this weekend, we did something that we haven't done with the new broadcast. We put an audio track behind all the cameras that just wind noise.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I thought you were talking about the Masters, like symphony, like
we're calling it the DGN overture, like when the players it ramps up for highlight. Yes, that's awesome too. But behind all the cameras, we are putting a real subtle wind and chains, and where we're going out recording it on site, so it's really accurate. It's like an hour long. It just loops throughout the whole time.
Just to connect each shot so it's not so jarring.
Exactly. And Mo was all like, yeah, man, that's awesome. Let's do this. And I said, yeah, we did this years ago. In fact, I just found the Nature Sounds MP3 that I was playing, and he's like, really? You guys did that before? I'm like, yeah, we did that. Like, you guys aren't...
You're not bringing all the ideas.
Yeah, none of this is rocket science. All right, let's see here once. I wonder if I can get... if this will work. Nope, I have to bring it in a different way. So I think if I close this and I drag this in here, and I can just... All right, ready, boys and girls? Here you go. This is for Tim. This is what we have to close the show on.
I don't hear it, so I don't know if it's cool.
So this was the music that I would put behind all of the closing highlights. At the end of every show, I just had a list of highlights. I would play them out as we closed the show.
I remember this. Yeah, for
sure. Ray says, bring it back. Mo wouldn't let
Bring
me.
it back. Let's do it. Come on. Mo has no class. Come on. This is a perfect song.
Yeah, he would definitely not let me bring it back because we had this discussion again when like they would do these rollouts with like Gary would put together all these clips with slow motion and this and that, and Mo was like, yeah, this is a rollout. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like the highlights that I used to do at the end of every show, and he's like, no, that's not a rollout. I'm like, it's just highlights put together. He's like, yeah, but it's different because these are selected. And I'm like, so instead I just played every highlight, but he picks certain ones and slows them down? That's different? And he's like, yes, very different. I'm like, okay.
Yes. All right.
I'm sure it is, but...
if you say so. Oh, Alan hated it.
Oh, Alan, you hated this music?
That's awesome.
Oh, funny. Yeah, so that's kind of a walk back through DGN history right there.
That was fun. That you could definitely make a whole episode out of that, or just like put an hour-long compilation on YouTube. You know, just run those all end to end. Like that would be super fun.
I should do that. I should just because I mean, who's gonna care if I put all those ads together? Like,
I mean, it benefits the company. Well, I mean, unless there's don't put Steve Dodge's ad in there.
He's gonna be our guest next week. I'll bring it up with him. I'll ask him.
No, please just drop it. Please just be like, oh, and Steve, we had one more question for you, and then just play the ad without any.
Yeah.
He'd be like, what? Like, that's a cool ad that I made.
He's like, yeah, that ad was awesome. Oh my God. He got so much crap for that ad because everyone was just like, you're literally just showing like a girl in her underwear. And it's like, well, yeah, that's, you remember it. Everybody still remembers it. Does that
I'll
mean
never forget it.
Does it mean it was a good
I had
ad?
never heard about it, but
I don't know. I mean, if people still remember.
See, that's the teeter-totter. Like, you can make a memorable ad, but it actually ends up being bad for your brand. You know, you can make something that's like the West Side King ad that, you know, ends up being not memorable, and then that's not good for your brand. So there's a balance.
So
Steve probably still thinks it's a good idea.
No, Steve probably does not think it's a good
No,
ad.
he doesn't. No, of course not. Smashbox LLC and all of its affiliates completely endorse.
I'll throw myself under the bus for that one. Yeah, that was the olden days, folks.
I'm actually going to dress up and use that format for DGA's next ad that we're going to run at Waco. I'm going to go right now and set up a low medium shot in our bathroom.
Would be great. Just and you in a pair of tidy whities and a t-shirt,
just brushing my teeth and dancing around.
Oh, good God, please do.
And then it would have to be her, because what was the tagline? Like, he's probably so excited about the trading cards or something.
Yeah,
she's probably so excited about the new discs I bought her.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely doing that.
How much did Steve's model make for that ad? I have no clue
it was
because
probably stock footage.
It's stock footage because I've got like I've got 4 or 5 of those ads that are just stock footage. Like there's one with just a dog sticking his head out the window and his teeth are like just going nuts in the window, and it's like he's super excited. And then it goes to like more or less like for the disc golf trading cards.
So he went through a stock video library and was just looking at stuff and thinking then about how he could like actually put a sales thing.
Yeah, there's one where a dog is licking ice cream from some kid. There's one where there's like a kid with a magnifying glass looking at grass, and somehow he ties it into, you know, oh, hey, you know, looking for disc golf trading cards or something.
That's actually, I'm getting so many great ideas because we have this subscription, to hundreds of thousands of stock video, which I don't recall, like, honestly, ever using any stock video. I use a lot of other things, but not stock video. But I'm like, I should go through there and just do that like the old man drinking coffee, staring out the window, and could just. I'm sure there's some funny things I could do with that.
Yeah. Tyler, thanks for joining us tonight. I hope we gave you lots of ideas. It's been a wild
ride. Yeah, no, it's inspiring to me as a creator. So you helped out our efforts this year. But
when I see the Waco ads, I know I'd have a piece of that.
I'll put a blur. I'll put like a blur over it. I actually won't. I'm not even gonna wear tidy whities. I'm just gonna blur out.
Just blur it out. Yeah, that's. Where did they just? I don't know. Oh, was that in Righteous Gemstones? Maybe I don't know. I just saw something where somebody was dancing. Oh no, it was Saturday Night Live. It was Saturday Night Live. With John Mulaney. They did a skit where, there's some a flasher on the subway, and they literally had a piece of cardboard with what looked like blur on it, like all the cubes, and that was and it was tied to like a pair of pants or some. You could, which obviously you're like, oh yeah, that's haha. So
that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for letting me be part of this.
Always.
Never ever do it again.
Let's never ever ever look at what we looked at again.
Yeah. Let's never talk of this night. Please don't put it up on the internet.
We definitely won't. All right, for Tyler Brickley and not Terry Miller, but John Van Der, and this is podcast episode 393.
After show.
I'll let you do it. We will see you guys next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Central, with maybe whoever we want. Steve Dodge for sure. Actually, we will honestly have Steve Dodge next week. We've had this scheduled for a little while, so we can talk to him about the ad. And we'll what were you thinking, Steve? So, all right, everybody, have a great night, and we're gonna go out. You know how we're gonna go out tonight. We're gonna go out to the sounds of the replay music. So, everybody, have a great night. We'll see you next week.